Señora de Cuba la Bella, del Palacio de los Jugos.
Los chicharrones.
Los vecinos aquí se enteran de todo.
Mi vecina era CDR en Cuba.
Y en verdad no hay nothing that you can do. Chacleteras sin llames con corbata.
Aquí yo vendo hot dog, pero en Cuba yo era médico.
Le saco el dedo y digo Q. Sweet home Hialeah. Solo 30 minutos me le fallo. Oh, sweet home Hialeah. I hate your traffic, but I love you.
All right, hello everybody, and welcome to another edition of East 10th Street Boys, straight out of Hialeah on the Fins Talk Sports Network, and also now on the Fins Talk Podcast Network. This would be episode 1 on there. That's right, Fins Talk Sports Network has branched out. We got a podcast channel now, Spotify, Apple, Anchor FM. Very excited about that. Moving on up. So thank you all for tuning in. We got so much to talk about. I had this all planned out. We were going to talk about the quarterback 2 battle for the Miami Dolphins between Skylar Thompson and Mike White. Mike White, I was going to assume, we all assumed was going to play in game 4, or game 3, excuse me, full time, because Skylar had a full game and had an amazing game. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I'm like, hey, dude, that dude's quarterback too. Well, look, you got to give the Mike White an opportunity now, see what he can do with these reps. And guess what? He's out. Concussion protocol. He will not play he won't play in the next game. Vito, good to see you, brother. Thank you for tuning in. Man, good. It's the first time. I appreciate you, bro. So, yeah, East 10th Street Boys, man, like and subscribe. We're here every Monday night, 9 o'clock Eastern, and we talk Dolphins, Heat, Marlins, Inter Miami, everything, but life in general, growing up in Hialeah, East 10th Street, straight out of Hialeah. So, Alex, I had this all planned out, man. We were going to talk about the injuries. You know, we got A-Chain out, Mike White, we got Robert Jones. I mean, geez, Lou, we're going to touch on those. I wanted to talk Miami Heat, Damian Lillard, what's going on with that situation, but also talk about, I saw an interesting article online, 5 moves the Heat could make that they could do if they don't get Damian Lillard. And I believe, it was Tyler Watts of Fansided. So it's not my article, it's not my list. So, but I said, this would be a kind of a good 1-2 with Alex, kind of see what he thinks on it.
Haven't read it yet, so you can surprise me with that.
And at the end, we got some random questions that are very interesting, and I think could bring up some interesting topics. I got 8 of them. Hopefully we can get through all 8, but we're going to try. Rob's in the house at DolphinsThirsty.com. He is the co-host of Real Talk Fins Talk on Tuesday nights here on the channel on the Fins Talk Sports Network. He's also host of Dolphins Chatter on the Dolphins Thirsty YouTube page. Go check him out if you haven't yet. Great content on there. All right. First off, Alex, how the heck are you, man?
I'm doing good, man. Excited. Another week in the books. Kids are back to school, so kind of some normality. A lot of work, obviously. Even for my team, we're getting physicals done and all that. So our season obviously doesn't start until November. But my daughter had her first volleyball game today. She won, so I'm excited about that.
Congratulations.
So little by little, man, getting back to the hangs of thing. I was actually walking today before the show, and it was a little breezy, and I'm like, that's weird. But tomorrow I believe we're back to 95 degrees like always.
It is scorching up here in Tennessee, burning up.
Man.
It's ridiculous. We have the air down at 72, I think, and it's 76 degrees in the house. Like, it just won't go down.
If you want to start an AC company, right now is the perfect time, bro. If you have a little van and you want to start changing AC units, you're going to make a killing, man, because those AC units don't stop here in Miami. They don't stop.
It's burning, dude. You know, I hate it with a passion. I like it cold. I'm really annoyed. I hate summer right now.
My thing is, if we have extreme heat, hopefully in Miami, we have some extreme cold, which for us is like 50s, 40s. So I'm crossing my fingers that I'm hoping as hot it is now, it's going to be as cold as shit in November, December. But,
dude,
it's Miami.
I'm kind of annoyed with, or mad at my wife and my mother-in-law and all them, because I can't wait for summer. And now it's summer, and I'm like, I hate you for
Okay.
this. I'm pissed.
And this
Because
isn't
now
summer anymore. This is like a sauna, bro.
this
Like
this
literally.
it's ridiculous how hot it is, dude. But talking about hot, let's talk about Miami, which like you said, there was some breeze today, but it's gonna be hot tomorrow. But it's hot on the rumor mill. It was so funny. As soon as I saw that tweet come out, or that new breaking news from Adam Schefter and those other guys, Ian Rappaport, that the Colts have now given Jonathan Taylor, star running back, 23 years old, one of the better running backs in the NFL, has given him permission to seek a trade.
Mhm.
I kind of withered in my seat. I'm like, and I sent out a tweet. And basically, my reaction was Jim Carrey from Me, Myself, and Irene, where before he changes, and I'm going, I can't do it. I can't do it. So I was like, I'm not going to do it, and I walked away. I was like, I teased it, but I walked away. And then our good friend Rob, who always does this to me, and he knows what he's doing, because he right away go like, I knew what he was going to say. He knew damn well where I was going to go from. Yeah, he sends it. He says Barry Jackson says that the Dolphins are going to look into or interested, and so I had to go and look at it myself. And I was sitting here in the bed. I just got home, and I remember going, oh, so I just jumped up. She goes, what's wrong with you? I go, they brought me back in, and that is the Dolphins they will explore. Barry Jackson has said this. Louis Riddick is bringing it up now, who's very respected on ESPN. The Dolphins will look into exploring the possibility of adding a Jonathan Taylor, like they did with a Bradley Chubb, like they did with a Tyreek Hill. I don't hate this. And I've said this before. Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, and then with this whole situation with Jonathan Taylor, I have said that I absolutely would be on board if Miami were to get somebody like this. Don't get me wrong. Here's where I stand on this. I love our running back room right now. It looks good. It looks really good. What Mozart did. You got Chris Brooks, the undrafted free agent. A-Chain. Ahmed looked really good in preseason. It is preseason. Yeah. Full disclosure. People have to remember that. Preseason is different from the season, but it gives you a peek at what these guys could possibly be. We see the potential. We know we think what we're going to get out of these guys. For me, what you're going to get out of Jonathan Taylor. So a Jonathan Taylor power with what you want to get out of Chris Brooks, who I'm a huge fan of. I'm pounding the table for him. I want him to find a spot. What you're hoping to get out of him with that power, with that speed of Mozart and A-Chain, you could get with a Jonathan Taylor. Now, Vito's absolutely right. That is the question. Who or what do we give up? Now, look, Miami's just exploring this right now, okay? And I forgot who had said, I think it was Barry Jackson, who said, listen, the Dolphins were aggressive, but also in regards to Tyreek Hill, when it comes to premier talent, they go and investigate. And that's what Chris Greer does. That's what he's good at. You can complain about the draft picks. You can complain about the depth situation, which we did last week, and of course that comes into play this week. But you can't complain about his aggressiveness to go after star players. So, what or who do we give up? Now I know everybody's talking about the money. The Dolphins could figure out the money. I'm not worried about the cap. The cap already basically is screwed with the Tyreek and everything else, but the Dolphins work it out every year. They work out a restructure. They pad a bonus. It lowers the cap number.
The
cap is magic. I'm not worried about it. People go, how are we going to pay him? With what money? How can we not pay our guys? That is not something that I'm really because if the Dolphins wanted to pay Christian Wilkins tomorrow, they could do it. Okay? They know what the cap is. It really is the possibility of what you got to give up. If the Colts hold him hostage, they hold him hostage. You can't, but if they say, hey, you know what? Miami says, hey, we'll give you this player, i.e. player, whomever that may be, a well enough player that maybe they might need, and then say, hey, let's give you a couple draft picks, and it works. It works. I'm 100% on board with this. Yes, cap for life. Welcome, brother. And listen, that's another thing. I saw this. I'm forgetting his name. Gosh, maybe Cap could tell me. somebody, I think it was Bobby. I'm trying to remember his last name, which is kind of funny, but he said that the Dolphins have had talks with the Colts, exploring with the Colts. Hey, what's
Oh,
the situation with Jonathan Taylor? So I'm very intrigued by this, more so than Dalvin Cook.
absolutely.
TJ,
There's
good to see you, my man. Thank you for tuning in. We are having a great night, brother. Better now that you're here. Christopher, I see you, man. I don't want you to think we're missing you. We are going to go over your questions and your comments as we continue. Let me get Alex's take on this, his initial reaction, and then his
yeah.
take. Go for it,
Well,
Alex.
my initial reaction obviously is a sexy pick. It's a sexy trade. Why? Because and typically Chris Greer hits on these every time. Even we traded away Laramie Tunsil. Obviously, we acquired a lot of capital, which helped us acquire Hill, acquire Chubb, and those are the situations that you're looking at this point. What is it going to cost you to acquire Jonathan Taylor? I know Wilkins is holding out. He's gonna get a new deal. So then
Holding
it comes
in,
down holding in. Yeah, sorry.
holding
So
in.
so it's one of those things like is as acquiring him gonna affect the Wilkins extension talks, which I don't think they will.
No.
But who do you trade for him? Now, are you showcasing Agba? Agba's been playing a whole lot. Are you showcasing him to possibly include him in a deal because he's making what like 15, 16 million a year or like 14? I'm not sure 100%. But that is something that you can honestly, even with the draft picks, it doesn't concern me because we have the young talent to go in all in right now. We're not looking. The only really thing that we need to build on draft wise, probably the O line, and typically the best route is usually a veteran signing like an Armstead. Obviously, not an injury prone veteran, but something along those lines. So giving up picks in this instance does not bother me because this team is young enough that they are locked in with I want to say probably prime 24 to 27. Our core, if you look around our whole core, the oldest one is Tyreek Hill. Everybody else, being Holland, Phillips, Chubb, Tua, you're all in the 24 to 28 range or 29, pushing it. So it's not a concerning thing to me. Now, to me, Bob, just like we talked about Cook, and you kind of see the writing on the wall if you knew there was a possibility. Now this comes into the Heat side. This is the Heat mentality. If there's a possibility of acquiring a Taylor, why are you gonna up your offer for Cook? And I'm gonna play devil's advocate because I told you. After what I saw last game, because I did see I did see Saturday's game.
Can I ask you one question before you
Go
go
ahead.
there?
Go ahead.
I
Go
know
ahead.
you're
Go
going to
ahead.
be devil, and I'm totally fine with that.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Before you do that role right
Yeah.
there, what are your like right now? You're a Dolphin fan, okay?
Yes.
Play devil's advocate, play the other side of this coin,
Uh-huh.
but are you down with getting a Jonathan Taylor?
Absolutely. Just
Okay,
depending on what it's gonna cost. But I'm down for
absolutely.
it.
Oh, cool.
I'm
All
down
right,
for it.
devil's
Now,
advocate, go for it.
other side. I'm happy. I'm extremely happy with our running back room. Where my concern is Jonathan Taylor to me obviously is a 24 in his prime, but it's still if and I'm not gonna say this lightly, but it's still like a luxury player for me because I'm happy with what I have in the running back room. But that's like me telling you I'm happy with my shooting guard, but if you're about to offer me an all pro shooting guard or like an all NBA shooting guard, am I gonna look at it? Of course I'm gonna look at it. I'm gonna look at every possibility to improve my team. You're doing a disservice to your team if he becomes available and you don't explore the options in which you can acquire him and what you have to give up. But am I happy with the running back rook? 100%. I believe not only is the running back room balanced and more talented this year, but they have the commitment from the coaching staff to use their running backs. You can argue that probably their best playmakers could be partially the running back room. But then you look into Jonathan Taylor and you're like, okay, what is it going to cost me? Because you're going to look into acquire him no matter what. But am I okay either way? Am I on the fence? I'm happy either way. Is there a possibility to do it? Yes, I do believe Greer has been in contact for the last few weeks when he started, when Jonathan Taylor said he wasn't going to report, that whole situation with Ursay. But this kind of plays into the fact that we don't really need him. So we can acquire him because we want to. I'm not saying in regards to leverage because other teams are going to offer more, I assume. So it could be a bidding war, but we don't need to go the extra mile. We only need to do it if we want to do it. That's the part. This is not somebody that we need. This is somebody that we would like to have.
This is a luxury, and it
Exactly.
will be a luxury because again, I was saying that the Dolphins were not raising the price on Dalvin Cook because they were comfortable with their running back room. And with last week's game or last Saturday's game, you saw why. But what if it's because, hey, they didn't raise the price because they knew what they had and maybe what was going on in Indianapolis. Also, maybe they're not re-signing. They haven't extended Christian Wilkins yet because, hey, we need to work this out. And let me just go over the comments because I'm seeing the comments here. I want to touch about what Rob is saying, DolphinsThirsty.com, Dolphins Thirsty YouTube channel. Rob Mosley, one of the best guys out there for Dolphins content, one of the nicest guys you can ever meet and talk to, one of the biggest Dolphin fans. He says Jonathan Taylor of the Colts wants to be highly paid. If it was even on a business channel, he says he was even on a business channel. He says he wants to be the face of running backs getting respect and pay. Cap for Life responded that he was actually at camp and spoke with Big O. He said, Rob, during the Mike Flory report on Cook was talking to the Jets, Big O looked at me and said, Dolphins are in talks with a disgruntled player, looked dead in my eyes and said, football gods are with us. He didn't say football camp, but hey, that was 3 weeks ago. Let me make sure here. I'll say Greer is the kind of hit and miss on free agents, but for some reason it seems like the trade game is usually on point. Exactly. That's the thing that I'm trying to come across here is it all starts to kind of make sense. The Dalvin Cook situation. Yes.
Absolutely.
Again, Raheem Mostert, when healthy, looked really good. We haven't seen Jeff Wilson. We have not seen Jeff Wilson yet, okay? He had 2 good games and then disappeared off the face of the earth in regards to play.
Do you think a chain will probably start the season on the PUP list? And that secures Brooks because if Brooks is not part of the roster, they can pick him up from the practice squad at any moment. Any team can scoop him up.
Absolutely. So, that's the scary thing on Brooks because I like Brooks. Yeah. I think Brooks has potential. I would hope, like in a perfect world, you could not a camp on his live stream. Okay, thank you,
It's
Kat.
crazy how Gaskin seems like the odd man out after seeing all these running back. And Gaskin is talented. I love him as a playmaker. I always saw him like a little mini Sproles. But then when you saw a chain and you see Ahmed and you see Brooks, you're like, whoa, we have a lot of depth here. That's insane that the running back could be one of the deepest positions that we have.
Well, and here's the thing. People might say, I know some people in regards, I could see Rob's talking about pay. He's not into giving big pay unless you take care of your own players. For me, and you're worried about the future, forgive me, I don't know if it was Christopher or TJ. Okay, Christopher, Wilkins, Williams, Connor Williams, Holland, Javon Holland, all need to get paid. That's true.
And they will.
They true. Here's the other thing, though. Not now. Their contract is not up. So I'm not worried about next season or the end of the season. I'm worried about this season. Yeah. And if you could get a player, and this is not some 28, 29, 30-year-old player, like 30-year-old player like Derrick Henry, 31.
25.
This is not a 28-year-old Dalvin Cook, okay? This is a player in his fourth year, okay? He's 24 years old, all right? In 2021, he rushed for 1,800 yards, 18 touchdowns. His rookie season, 1,100 yards, or almost 1,200 yards, 11 touchdowns. He only played 11 games last year, injury, and it had 4 touchdowns, 861 yards. But this is a guy not even in his prime. No. This is a young back. You're talking about stunting growth. You're not stunting anybody's growth. He is the growth.
The consensus.
This is the growth.
Fantasy football player last year. He was consensus number 1 overall pick in every fantasy football draft last year. That's what you're looking at.
And Christopher says, so sell out for this season and risk everyone bailing next season. Who's everyone? Okay.
I don't
believe that. Listen, no. Chris, what have the Dolphins showed you even this year? They went and got Tyreek the last year. Then Bradley Chubb, which Rob of DolphinsThirsty.com does not like. It's up to Chubb to change it. But they did that to win now. They did that to win now. But what did they do in order to work out those contracts? They renegotiated, restructured deals, gave higher bonuses, lowered the cap. I'm not worried about the cap.
And by the time these contracts come up, Bob, a lot of contracts like Armstead's contract, Hill's contracts are either coming up or due for contract extensions, or you can restructure them again because they're already in the 3rd or 4th year. So those are things that, because Tyreek is a 4-year deal, right? Tyreek signed it was a 4-year, like 4-year 120 or one something.
One of the guys. I'm sure someone's going to correct us here.
By the time Holland's contract comes up, Phillips' contract comes up, that's when Tyreek Hill's off the books. So you can renegotiate. So there's a lot of avenues. You just got to be obviously extra careful what you're giving up as well.
My thing is, I know everybody goes, oh, what about Wilkins? What about this? If you think this deal just came up, this whole storyline, I mean, they said it's been talking for 3 weeks.
Yeah,
that's 3 weeks of negotiations, and now now all of a sudden now he's allowed to seek a trade. Now these reports, now that Miami's being specifically mentioned. This is not by accident, at least in my opinion. Christian Wilkins is not re-signed, not by accident. If you're starting to connect the dots, Miami could have re-signed him a long time ago. And, you know, we were talking about how much. People said 22 million, 20 million. I think that's a little rich. I'm okay on the 18 million side or 17 and a half.
He'll probably get 19 around there. And,
you know, I believe that. But I believe that Miami is probably, their mind is elsewhere. And they might have been okay with how our running back situation looked on Saturday. But at the same time, when you have a talent like Jonathan Taylor available to you, possibly, to add to this team, you don't sit on your hands. You explore it. You do your due diligence. Just like when you have a Jalen Waddle and you thought your wide receiver room was looking really nice. Jalen Waddle had one hell of a year. You were like, oh, man, we're doing great. Tyreek's available. Do you sit on your hands? Oh, we got Jalen Waddle. Look at this receiver. No, you go get Jalen Waddle.
And this legit is, Bob, like you mentioned before, when in regards to running back and Dalvin Cook, this is legit Chris Greer calling Mike McDaniel. Mike McDaniel, do you want Jonathan Taylor?
Oh,
if he says yes, we're gonna go for it. That's
100%. This is Mike McDaniel, and I highly doubt McDaniel goes, let me just Christopher Jones. Omar just covered this tonight. He said if they go for any more free agents, then they'll be overextended next year. Restructures might be hard.
It could be, yeah.
It could be, but in regards to that, again, you have Omar saying one thing, you got Barry Jackson saying another, you got Big O saying another thing. Everybody has their links, everybody has their, what they think is right and wrong, or who their sources are, et cetera, et cetera. I'm just saying, you want to win, you want to make your team better overnight than what it already specifically is. You don't sit on your hands for Jonathan Taylor because, hey, we might lose a couple guys next year. You want to win, you go and do your due diligence, because if you could do it, go get them. Go get them. If they treat it like a mid-season Major League Baseball trade deal, this is Rob of DolphinsThursday.com, they give them a lower pick for 1 year rental and tell Jonathan Taylor they will not franchise him. Those conversations are probably going on behind closed doors. But I'll tell you this, Rob, if the Dolphins or any team trades for Jonathan Taylor, that deal's already done.
Yeah,
that deal's already done.
He comes with an extension.
Yeah, they're not going to go do a 1 year rental. No, if they're truly going all in, getting Taylor is a must. Absolutely, that's how I feel.
If they really, agent, Jonathan Taylor's agent is Maki Kawa. He's a Miami agent here. So
Dolphin fan defended Mike McDaniel. Yeah, I saw that. So that's what got me to jump up and go, oh my gosh, So because Waddle needed help, more team speed, but running back is not a need. Do you have misgivings with Mozart and company?
For those that don't know, Maki Kawa was Jim Jones' agent, the UFC fighter. That's where
gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you have misgivings? No, I like all those guys. Win healthy. Mozart and Wilson and A-Chain and hey, win healthy. Jesus. Win healthy.
What just happened?
I don't know. Alex disappeared and came back. Win healthy. I like them. I think if you do, you do it that 60-40 split, it's okay.
Hey.
But again, key word, Christopher, is win healthy. How many games did?
I'll ask you this. I'll ask you this one because this is something that's always intrigued me because it relates to basketball the same way. Kind of like when you have a superstar, you have to give him certain touches. Do you feel this running back by committee is a little bit more free-flowing where everybody's on the same page? Or if you acquire Jonathan Taylor, he needs 20 touches, 25 touches a game. Is that going to affect your game planning with a chain, possibly?
Well, that's where the Mike McDaniel question comes into play, right? Okay. I mean, it's if Mike McDaniel says, again, this move does not happen unless
McDaniel gives the go-ahead.
Exactly. That's the only thing. So if they go and they make this trade, you have to assume McDaniel already has a game plan in mind with Jonathan Taylor, who deserves. And again, maybe it's better for him. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's better to play in this kind of system. health-wise. He's bigger than those guys. Those guys, Chris Brooks, you kind of see what you have in Chris Brooks.
Yeah.
And that gets you a little excited in regards of, man, you see, you need some power with this speed. Taylor adds that. Do I think you lose Mozart or A-Chain in some kind of deal if you get Jonathan? No, I think Jeff Wilson's the one who would be moved or cut in a deal.
Yeah, we definitely try to keep Mozart because Mozart is faster than Wilson.
Mozart knows it, and you're forgetting Ahmed too. Gaskin and Wilson are the odd man out in that type of situation. Let me see here. Vito says Alex knows magic. Let's see.
Me?
You're the only Alex here. I haven't seen anybody in the comments there. But no, I don't have any misgivings, Christopher, on our running back room. I don't, because that's why I'm okay.
At all.
I'm telling you that I'm all for Jonathan Taylor. Now, if the Dolphins don't get Jonathan Taylor, he's traded somewhere else, I'm not losing sleep. It's not the end of the world. I still believe Miami Dolphins are an 11-win-plus team. Okay? That's fact. But I'm telling you, you get a Jonathan Taylor, just like I was pounding the table, and you could ask Rob this, Derrick Henry before the offseason, this puts the team over the hump. I truly believe that. You got a lot of good players in the running back room. You get a superstar in the running back room. Superstar running back, superstar receivers, and potentially a superstar quarterback after this season, a legitimate superstar quarterback.
Yeah, and Christopher says this here with Gaskin and Wilson for Taylor. Yeah, obviously it's not going to be just those two. You're going to have to trade multiple picks. Probably a second rounder. When do we have a second rounder again? 2024? Do we even have a second round this year coming up?
I think we got a first rounder.
We got a first
round pick. Yeah.
Okay.
Taylor's already on record saying the money is the must. Absolutely. Hey, and again, I'm not worried about the money.
Miami will find the money. A running back market, and don't get me wrong, they've made a solid point about this. The running back market has been downgraded consistently, where the running back becomes obsolete. I understand running backs are basically shelf life is 3 to 4 years. Now you can pay them their money for that gap, for that period, but a lot of these running backs are getting shortchanged. Probably 1-year deals getting franchised, and their franchise tags is the same. We talked about this in one of the episodes. Their franchise tag is the same for the last, I believe, like 10 years. That's insane. Even inflation alone, kickers are making more money than running backs. Kickers. And I never thought I would see that day, because you can argue for many years, aside from the quarterback in football in the 90s, early 2000s, the running back was the highest paid player on the team because that was your all-star. I'm talking about the Marshall Faulks, the Edgerrin James, Emmitt Smiths. But now it's like you just pick up I know the sport has evolved where basically the running back is more like running back by committee. There's very few go-to running backs. Like probably it's a dying breed, but the last one in the NFL is Derrick Henry. Like the last workhorse running back that hasn't broken down. Every other running back is either a pass catcher, an elusive runner, but there's no more really power backs like a Taylor, like a Henry. So, Oh, you look at the kid from Pittsburgh. I just blanked out on his name.
Najee Harris. Najee Harris.
There we go.
Now, and look what Derrick Henry did for the Titans with the Ryan Tannehill and company. Yes, and sir. I'm not crapping on Ryan Tannehill like Evan does, but
but seems like Ryan Tannehill followed you.
I will say, Rob, again, when he says saying money is a must, again, I'm not going to tell somebody to spend their money in regards to the Dolphins. I'm not worried about the money. I'm worried about what's the product on the field. And Jonathan Taylor puts the best product on the field. You know what you have in him. So, and then that other stuff, that's for Miami to figure out. But Miami has shown in the past, because they're making big moves over and over again, that they know how to play around with their money.
But can you imagine the NFL without a salary cap? You know how much money Stephen Ross would actually spend if the NFL had no salary cap? He would just be giving contracts left and right. Like, he's that type of owner. Like, he will give out these massive contracts for you to go.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think Christopher, when he says if it's Gaskin and Wilson for Taylor straight up, that's easy. I was saying those are the two guys odd man out. That if we require, whether it was a Dalvin Cook or Jonathan Taylor, those guys are traded or cut. In regards to a trade, I could see possibly one of those guys being included in that deal. But I think it'll probably be one of the defensive players on that defensive line, maybe.
He makes this is a really good point. I really like that, Chris. You hit this on nail on the head. That's why I think our running back room is so diverse, and it's true.
But Taylor is power and speed, absolutely.
That's absolutely.
And you know what though? But here's the thing.
Both points are solid.
Absolutely, no. What I'm going to say though is, this is what a running back room, especially running back by committee, you can't have one or the other. To me, you need to have both.
Can we stop calling it a room? Can we call it a running back suite? Like a presidential suite?
Sure, just go with running back suite. But for the point of people who want to understand, if they're just joining us, a running back committee or a running back suite, if Alex wants to say it, to me, it's good to have players, one with speed. Imagine having Raheem Mostert and A-Chain, that speed. But before you get to those guys, you have Jonathan Taylor beating the hell out of opposing defenses. And for those listening on the podcast network, I'm smacking my hand, my fist into my hand. I don't want you to think I'm doing anything else, but I'm not that excited. No, but imagine ground and pound with Jonathan Taylor, and then the defense is tired out.
You just followed that comment with ground and pound.
Oh,
like you just set yourself up for that.
I'm that excited, apparently. No, but I'm just saying, it's just that to me. That's why I'm a huge fan of Chris Brooks, or the potential of Chris Brooks. Absolutely, he would demand to be RB1. That's why he would start. Ground and pound with him, and then guess what? When the defense is tired from him abusing them, you put in Mostert. Mostert breaks free for a 50-yard run, or Ahmed, or A-Chain. That's how I see it. Bobby makes a great point about the injuries. Mostert, Wilson have injury history, but it's the expense. I get it. People are worried about the money. My opinion, it's just mine. No, I don't think nobody's wrong in this.
No.
Nobody's wrong.
To have. It's
a good problem to talk about because Miami's been exploring it. I can understand Rob's point. I can understand what Christopher's coming from. TJ, Vito, everyone tuning in.
Think about this. Years ago, if I would have told you 3 or 4 years ago that all these players wanted to come to Miami, Jalen Ramsey, Tyreek Hill, before we had the stigma that no one wanted to play for Miami. No one. And now all of a sudden you have people flooding, which it's a testament also to the front office, to the coaching. They've created an environment where players want to come and they feel appreciated, they feel like themselves. But it is, I'm still like, it's a little surreal moment because I'm looking at our roster and just analyzing it. And I'm like, holy shit. Half of these players 4 or 5 years ago would have never wanted to come to Miami and play for us. And now we're a destination.
Now, the only thing I'll say about that, here's what I say, and Chris says, I'm with you on Brooks. I don't want to part with him. Bigger upside than any other back here. That's a very interesting comment. Again, I love Brooks. I love what I'm seeing from Brooks, and I'm all about keeping him here. We don't get Taylor, if that actually happens or not. I'm all about keeping Brooks. Figure it out.
Miami, Texas too.
Tax break. Miami. Damn, Chris, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Dolphins get big contracts, and there's the tax breaks. I will say this. I'm all about, look, again, I was talking about depth, Alex. It's very easy to get start players. It's very easy to hit on some draft picks and miss on others. It's about the depth, and Miami has depth concerns. We're going to touch on that right now. You can get all the superstars you want, but it is about winning, and winning is not just your RB1 or QB1 or QB2 or running back or receiver 1, 2, and 3. You have to have the guys behind there. Danny Finns fan, man, thank you for tuning in, brother. Just make it happen all in this year because if Tua doesn't stay healthy, it's better to have weapons if he goes down. Damn good point. If you think about that, God forbid, Tua does go down, okay? If and when it's happened, he's played 13 games last year, played 13 games the year before. You have a player, if Tua goes down, Skylar goes in, okay? Let's say Skylar's having a rough game and he's handing off to Mostert and he, whatever's happening there, and those guys are getting tired out. Imagine what he would do if he had a Tyreek, a Jalen, and a Jonathan Taylor behind his back. Think about the favor you're doing him. If you're thinking about what you're going to do for Tua, imagine what you're going to do for the 7th round, second-year player that we got, a 7th round pick, second-year player. So that makes a lot of sense, and I'm all for that. The more talent, the better in regard to that, because it gives those backup guys a better opportunity. Because look what's going on with Mike White. Concussion protocol. Absolutely. Now Skylar Thompson, more likely to be a QB2. Your quarterback has an injury history. It's not concussions. He suffered that from last year. I'm talking about the other things. Pinky, toe, ankle, hip, whatever. Those things. Maybe you might go a game or two without your quarterback. Who's your backup? Are you comfortable Skylar Thompson's your backup quarterback? Are you comfortable Mike White's your backup quarterback? No, I'm not. You shouldn't be. But more comfortable are you going to be if you got a Jonathan Taylor back there as your starting running back with a Tyreek and a Jalen? You might win a game. Rob says, but the Colts are seeking a high price in return, a first-round pick or multiple draft picks. That would be the equivalent of a first-round pick.
And, to add to what you said, Bob.
Sorry, I'm got a cough
what
here.
I saw in Skylar Thompson. I remember we talked about his last show, or I believe 2 shows ago. And I was explaining the reason, like, why would you sign up Mike White? It wasn't a testament. It wasn't bringing down Skylar, but obviously there's a reason they go for Mike White. Obviously, McDaniel likes him. He'll be good for the system. Skyler looked very comfortable out there
As the game went on.
As the game went on, he's second year in this system, so he understands the language better, just like Tua. So now you're fluent in the language. Now you're fluent in Mike McDaniel's offense. And the other part that I look at as well, like you mentioned, if something happens that Tua goes down for any reason, even if you have the weapons on offense and you have a stable running game, also the defense this year is going to make such a difference having Fangio there, and the style of defense changing, the personnel. You have a legitimate shot every single week, no matter who's under center, and that's something that you didn't feel last year. Last year there were certain games, especially as the season went on, that you felt that if you didn't outscore your opponent, you had no chance of winning because our defense was not reliable at all. This year, I don't think that's going to be the case. So that's also
you mean blow out? You blow out your opponent.
You got to blow out. You had to go into a shootout and make sure you had to blow out your opponent. Now, this year, you might win those games that are 23-17, 20-19, because you have confidence in your defense. So that also is going to help out a lot, no matter who's on the center.
Let me just respond to Rob's comment here. This was per Barry Jackson from his article. The Colts are seeking a high price in return, a first-round draft pick or multiple draft picks. That would be the equivalent of a first-round pick per ESPN. Chris responds, that's the issue. It's his cost. Did the Dolphins care about the cost in regards of Jalen Ramsey, Bradley Chubb, or Tyreek Hill?
No.
I don't think the Dolphins. I don't think
Ramsey at a decent price.
They did, but all I'm saying is the Dolphins don't care about the draft picks when it comes to start players.
Not right now.
Okay, that's what I'm. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah. It's just what it is. Jesus. People forget.
I'm telling you, they're transitioning to the Heat, bro. They're transitioning.
Let me see. No, wait. There's a difference here. Danny's Finns fan. People forget we gave Buffalo everything that he could handle last year in the playoffs with a third-string quarterback.
And he mentioned Buffalo. I told you this, Bobby. Buffalo. This is my prediction. We'll make it live on air. I've said it behind the scenes. I think Buffalo will crumble this year. There's chaos going on there. McDermott does not finish his year as a head coach. That is my prediction. They're going to struggle this year. In all
if Greer was smart, he would. Yes, Rob. Yes. We wouldn't have this issue if we talk about that. I bring it up more than anybody. Yes. You know what you're doing, Rob. You know, it's absolutely true, my man. It's so true.
Can you imagine if we could have had Tua? We could have had. Who did we get? Jackson? Austin Jackson.
Austin Jackson, Igbenogany.
Oh my God, bro. That I honestly thought we were gonna go Taylor. I really thought we were going to go Taylor that year.
But you know what? As I say, guys, woulda, shoulda, coulda, but they didn't. But now you have a second chance. Now you have a second chance to do it. Okay? Let's touch on some other topics here. We'll keep going, guys. You can put your questions, your comments below. Do my best to answer them. Let me just remind everybody, you are watching East 10th Street Boys on the Finns Talk Sports Network, straight out of Hialeah. You're also listening to us now on the Finns Talk Podcast Network, brand new, Spotify, Apple. If you haven't gone there, do me a favor, go there and hit that like button and subscribe to that channel as well. We're not only going to have the shows that we have on the Finns Talk Sports Network, we're going to also work on new shows that not just cover sports, but like movies. I'm thinking paranormal, fun stuff, life, just things like that. You know, so do me a favor, go ahead and do that. It'd be great. Vito, oh my gosh, you are the winner. Dolphins thirsty. Rob hit the nail on the head. You know, he is on a roll. Rob, again, let me just say, Rob's one of the best guys on YouTube, one of the best guys in general. Okay, if you don't know who he is, if you're just tuning in, do me a favor.
Okay, now Rob, now you're just throwing salt on the wound, man.
Yeah, he's being. You know what? I'm not even gonna promote him no more. I'm done. Forget it. If you're thirsty for Dolphins content, don't drink. Suffer.
Tua,
No, I'm just
Jefferson,
kidding.
and Taylor. That's true, man. We could have had all
What's up,
five.
Anthony? Good to see you, my man. We're talking Jonathan Taylor to the Dolphins. What are your thoughts,
Now,
Anthony? Put them below in the comments, man.
if we would have had Jefferson, we probably wouldn't trade it
Tyreek.
for Tyree. Yeah.
And then we would have had all those draft picks that
Oh,
everybody's worried about. But,
and Waddle. Well,
yeah.
no, because you
No,
don't
we
know
we,
what
we
we're
had
going.
Waddle. I think we would have had one. Um,
Oh man,
so, Alex, let me ask you, man.
fire away.
While we'll still continue on the Jonathan Taylor talk, we're going to stick with the Miami Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
You touched on it. Your thoughts on Game 2 for the Miami Dolphins? They beat the Houston Texans 28-3.
Mm-hmm.
Tua opening drive, of course, throws that interception. You know, I'm telling you, my son and I went to Tristan went Tua. So I said, "Oh, shit, quiet." So we jumped up. I'm standing in front of his. I go, "Here we go, baby. Here we go." And I was like, "Goes, hey, interception!" I go, "Oh!" I swear to God, I went, "Oh!" I'm like, "Oh no," because I'm
You knew
thinking,
Twitter was gonna go
listen,
crazy. You knew
Twitter,
Twitter was gonna-
and
They
everybody,
didn't
all the
talk
guys that
about
we
any other passes after that. He was near perfect after that. They just started talking about
Stager,
the
Brett.
first pass.
Let me
Oh,
tell you,
yes, man.
Stager, Brett. You know they were all coming. Here it comes. I was like, here's the heavy. You know, and of course Evans already goes. Season's over.
Yeah.
But you know,
After one pass, I love it. And you saw ESPN, bro, the fucking assholes that they are. You saw the bottom part. It
yeah.
was like, oh, on his to an interception on the first pass. It's like, come
On the
on,
first,
man. Yeah, like
you
what
know,
are you doing?
but
You gotta hate us that
he
much.
did make the tackle. Now
Yeah.
look, he followed up. He got again, like Skyler, got better as the drive went. The second drive got better. Offensive line got better throughout the game. I like what I saw to Austin Jackson. Actually, I think I retweeted it. If you go to Bobby Finstock on Twitter, you could actually see every play of Austin Jackson. I got a chance to look at and I loved what I saw from him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what sucks is Robert Jones, who was in play for left guard competing.
Mm-hmm.
He's out. So maybe does Isaiah Wynn be your automatic left guard? How comfortable are you with that? Eichenberg is not the answer at all. That guy should not be anywhere near the starting
Eichenberg
lineup.
looks lost, man. I
But
don't know.
One thing that impressed me the most about Tua, and again, that Barrios would have had a touchdown if he didn't get tripped up. He had one touchdown. He would have had two touchdowns. But one thing that impressed me the most about Tua was that when he got hit, the way he went down. You saw him tuck his chin. I've done jiu-jitsu. I was surprised that you could see it come into play there. So it was really cool. I thought that was great. Kind of made me a little more relaxed with the whole getting hits, because you do, even though he doesn't have that concern in regards of concussions.
Yeah.
Concussions are scary no matter how many years or how many times you've gotten them. So that was good to see that actually come into play after all the jokes and ridicule in regards to him doing jiu-jitsu. You saw how he tucked his chin, even his head never hit the floor. Sorry, X. I call it Twitter X or whatever you want to call it. It's hard for me to call it X. But anyway, and I'll read your comment right now, Anthony. But what was I going to say? You talked about ESPN. What was your reaction to the game 2? You saw Tua. Then we didn't get to see Mike White too much. He got hurt on one of the plays. So we got to see a lot of Skyler.
Yeah.
The week before, Myles Gaskin had a very good game.
Mm-hmm.
Ahmed said, "Hold my beer," and had a bigger game.
That's
A-Chain, solid game. He got hurt, but a solid game. Receiving, catching, running the ball in regards of returning. And then Chris Brooks, another solid outing, trying to earn a spot on a deep running back room. And we're talking about making it deeper with Jonathan Taylor. Overall, though, your thoughts on the game? Anything stand out to you? Any player disappoint you? Give me your take.
To be honest with you, Bob, I'm very impressed with the commitment to the running game. I felt that was I knew that was going to be part of McDaniel's growth. It's amazing to actually see it in play. I know it's just preseason and it's a small sample.
Yeah.
I can just imagine what this offense would do when Tyreek and Jalen Waddle are playing. Obviously, it's going to open up so much more, even for those running backs, and it's going to soften it up at least for the line as well. I believe the line will hold up. But one of the things that amazes me too is how they have managed to have a decent tight end room. Even with the unrestricted free agents, with who they drafted, with Smith, they have the tight ends that kind of fit systems where that blocking tight end is going to help out your line so much more for the running game. And we didn't have that last year in Gesicki. And obviously you didn't use Gesicki. as a blocker. You don't even use Gasecki properly. I believe that's one regret that Mike McDaniel has. I believe McDaniel regrets how he used the running game, how he didn't use Gasecki as a weapon, and how he didn't time management, play clock. I was impressed with the defense. I was impressed with the front four, and the number one thing that I was mostly secure of was the fact that I believe Skylar Thompson can man that QB2. If anything happens to Tua, Skylar Thompson is comfortable with the personnel that he has, and he's comfortable in his skin. He's not afraid of the big moment, like they said in the comments. Skylar Thompson went into Buffalo and played toe to toe with Josh Allen, and we lost.
That's why.
So I was happy overall, and I know the offense. It was nice. I understand it was the Texans against second unit players, but the offense, the schematics seem to be rolling right along, and Vic Fangio is making magic with that defense.
So, and that's why again.
Oh, sorry, the linebacker, the one I compared to Zach Thomas, Long Jr.
David Long, former Titan. Yeah.
To me, he has the ability to be the X factor in this defense just on his speed alone.
Yeah, I saw the play, and I was excited when we signed him because he played up here in Tennessee, and I could see what he did. And so, again, but injuries are something with him that you got to be concerned with. But let me just say in regards to Skylar, and then I'll get to some of the comments here. But Skylar Thompson, that's why before the preseason started, we talk about roles, who should get the backup. I was on the Skylar train. I saw what he could do as a 7th round pick. Third string quarterback, wasn't even supposed to be there. And even though, the record wasn't nice and maybe play wasn't perfect, I think considering those two guys, I'm with Skylar Thompson as your second string quarterback. Unless you go get another veteran, maybe a Carson Wentz or a Matt Ryan. I believe it's Skylar Thompson is the guy. Mike White is your third guy. But even though Mike White's being paid a little more, maybe he's a trade bait or a possible let go, and then you kind of go with Blackman, who they re-signed, which I don't know how that would be your third guy. But let me just get through some of the comments here.
Yeah.
First off, let me get to Anthony though. I want to get to Anthony. Anthony says in regards to Jonathan Taylor, Bobby, honestly, I think the rumors of Colts trading were total BS because that makes no sense. They have a rookie quarterback. He would need to have a running game. Jonathan Taylor, we talked about this, Anthony. To me, I thought Jonathan Taylor and Anthony Richardson have nothing to do with each other. Nothing to do with each other. Anthony Richardson is their starting quarterback, their rookie quarterback. He can do everything. They're fine with him. I understand, yes, what's best for him is a strong star running back. Jonathan Taylor situation, unless he gets paid big bucks and he feels disrespected by the Colts, that might be another reason. That might be the other thing too. Just like the Damian Lillard with the Blazers. It's going to be a very ugly situation if he stays there. Okay? Jonathan Taylor wanted to get paid. Still wants to get paid. Did not get paid. Felt disrespected, especially when the owner came out and said he wanted to pay for the whale. Oh my goodness. The orca? Lolita, who passed away.
Yes.
Yeah.
She got sick.
And, icon in Miami, Miami Seaquarium, which we've all gone and seen her.
Yep.
Right? You've been to Miami Seaquarium, right? I mean, I have.
Absolutely.
So we've all seen her.
Thinking about it, it's inhumane for 30-something years to live in a tank. We should have done right by her a long time ago.
Well, they said, oh, we're trying to do this, we're trying to. That's such an. I don't want to go off the topic here, but in regards to that situation, for me, it's like I agree. I don't think they should be in there that long. But also, you can't just say, okay, we're going to take you out of what you're used to, throw you into the ocean, and then let you fend for yourself. The whales, they have to put her in the real ocean in some sort of enclosure area where they can take care of her, but yet let her be free in the depth. They should have done that, but they never did. There's a lot of these situations now. But I'm not gonna lie, I've been there. I've been to SeaWorld because I love seeing these animals up close. Because I don't know when I ever will. Do I think they believe they should be out there? Absolutely not. I mean, they should be out in where they belong in the ocean. But anyway, I don't think it's BS. Anthony, I don't think the Colts are telling him, hey, go seek a trade. Is BS. I don't think that the Dolphins are interested is BS. I don't think Jonathan Taylor being angry about his situation is BS. I think it all has to do. I think it's all legit, and I think this seeking a trade is legit. But they have to get the right offer, and it might not be Miami. Might not be Miami.
No.
But I don't think it's BS. I think they're comfortable with Anthony Richardson. I think they're comfortable with Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor. I think they're comfortable with Anthony Richardson and without Jonathan Taylor. Christopher Jones. How about those high snaps from Connor Williams? Nearly disastrous twice. He wants more money. He's been a little suspect blocking as well. Thoughts? We touched on this. Evan Posner of the Fins bandwagon on Thursday nights and the Miami Dolphins post-game show with me. It's on Saturday for now, but Sunday when the games start. He's been very critical of Connor Williams since last season in regards of the snaps. My thing is he has high snaps. Coach needs to work with him. He's going into his second year at a position he never played. He played a little bit in Dallas, a couple preseason games. Then they put him at left guard. He was the 14th best guard in the NFL. But they benched him because of penalties. He comes to the Miami Dolphins. They put him at center. And he ends up being one of the better centers in the NFL. He wants to get paid. That's why he's kind of sitting out, or he's asking for more money, because he played as one of the best centers in football as a blocker after the snaps he struggles with. I think shotgun is mainly the issue there. But I think it's up to the coaches to work with him to do that. That's a position. He's going into his second year. That first high snap, Chris, if you go back and look at that play, the whole offensive line, the whole offense was out of it. It was a huge miscommunication. Tua was not ready for the snap. I think Robert Jones was starting at left guard. I could be wrong, or it was out of place. It would have been a offside, or a false start on the offense. Huge miscommunication. I'm about don't fix what's not broken. Work on the high snaps, but Connor Williams is one of the better centers in the NFL. Tua's going into his second year with him at center, building that chemistry. Don't mess with the chemistry. Don't mess with the chemistry.
Ralph was on with us last week, and he didn't know I got a fight.
Ralph, good to see you, brother.
Christ, bro.
Are you running trios?
Last week, man.
Is that why you're not here? Are you running trios?
That's gonna be fun for the podcasters and the people just listening to us on Spotify.
Yeah, what's the trio?
What are these guys doing? What are these Street Boys? What are they doing here?
Vito. Man, I'm so happy to see Vito here. Everybody who's tuning in, it's really cool to see you. But he says, Skyler, the passing game, the running game, the defense. I know some of those players won't be there, but we have some great guys. Chris Brooks and the tight end, Julian Hill, are awesome. I'm assuming he's talking about Julian Hill. 3 receptions, 31 yards. Hill did really good.
Yes, sir.
He's doing really good. Evan thinks they're going to be carrying only 2 tight ends. I don't think that's true. I think Smythe. Julian Hill's really making some noise. I know Higgins I liked Higgins when we took him, but he's an experimental player. I would pick Brooks over Higgins at this point. I think the third guy for me right now, it's just what it is Tyler Kroft. Let me see. Christopher Jones. The problem with Gesicki was that when he was in, it telegraphed that it was a passing play because he was never on the field when running plays. Can't have that. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. That's why I think the tight ends are going to be a lot better because the rookies Higgins and Hill are doing better at blocking than the other veteran guys. Really Smythe is the best blocker, but those guys are doing really well. So you're absolutely right. It kind of kills it when you go, oh, Gesicki's out there. We know they're not going to run the ball. Or if they run the ball, they're going to kill the back. So you're right, Chris. Rob says purely as hypothetical. Cutting Akba and trading Howard after June 1st next season would clear up to $33 million in cap space per Barry Jackson.
Cam Smith is a solid man.
Again, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, okay? And it's not a knock. I'm not knocking, but I'm not going to pretend that those guys are that smart. But again, Miami has plans in place to say, hey, we know we're stretching it. What can we do to fix it? Well, hey, let's draft Cam Smith this year, even though we have Xavier Howard and Jalen Ramsey. Ramsey's not getting moved next year. It's not Ramsey. Who's the other guy? The guy who they've been talking about being traded for a while, and that's Xavier Howard, who now, that story came out, and of course there's always something with him, in regards of off the field, but that's off field. We won't talk about it here. But, I think that's a legitimate, it's hypothetical, Rob, but it might be the most logical. You're on to something, Anthony. Let's see what Anthony says. Alex, for me, the issue of having Skyler as the starter in a few games during the season, I saw evidence that both Tyreek and Jalen would drop passes purposely when it wasn't Tua at quarterback. I honestly I highly doubt Jalen and Tyreek would drop passes purposely because Tua was not the quarterback when Tua was hurt. If they are dropping passes purposely, trade them right now. If they're dropping passes, you're on mute, Alex. If they're dropping passes purposely, you trade them right now. Get rid of them. Include them in the deal.
Of the ball, but I don't think they were dropping passes purposely.
Yeah, no.
one would do that.
Come on, Anthony. If they're doing that, dude, you got to get rid of them. That's not no.
Not.
I don't buy it. I'm not saying get rid of them.
No.
But if that was true, I'd say get rid of them right now. That's not team players. I don't believe that. But I am saying is that maybe they're reading. You don't have a guy to. You don't have a legitimate backfield, or you're not committed to running the ball. It gets tough to run an offense, especially if you're a rookie quarterback. But if you have a Jonathan Taylor, Tyreek, Jalen Waddle there in your second year, it's going to be a whole lot better running type of offense. Yeah, that's true, Rob. Colt saying Jonathan Taylor is hurt is not good business. They will withdraw that claim now he's on the market. Absolutely right. Whoa. There you go, Cap. There's some wrestling news on WWE Raw. Chad Gable, who I really like. People are sleeping on that dude. He beat Gunther on Raw. Wow. Obviously, it can't be a title shot. Got that. Maybe. That'd be awesome. I don't think it's BS, TJ. This is TJ. I don't think it's BS, but I wouldn't be surprised if they don't ask for something like 3 first-rounders or 2 first and a second rounder with a running back.
I mean, 3 first-rounders is a lot. Like, that's – I don't think – well, I mean, he could. Are they at the point, though, because he's not – wow. Would 3 first-round picks be too much?
3 first-round picks?
Yeah, them asking for 3 first-round picks for Jonathan Taylor?
No, absolutely not. 24 years old in his 3rd year, that type of production, not even in his prime.
Yeah, he's worth it. They'll probably.
What did you give up for Tyreek?
We gave up 2 first-round picks.
Was it?
Yeah,
and he's
I believe
how
so.
Old is he? And how old is he?
You
gave him a 4-year deal.
28. Well, he was 28, 27.
Yeah, you give him a 4-year deal.
4-year deal to 31. Yeah.
Ralphie boy, what's up, my man? Cornflake with a little Inter Miami championship and Miami Dolphins Super.
Yeah, Inter Miami, baby, the League's Cup.
There you go. And but Inter Miami in the house. Let me go ahead and put this here. We're going to touch on some Heat stuff for right now. We'll continue the Jonathan Taylor show comments as you guys come in. I'm sure I was paid on to be on today. There you go. And let me just remind everybody, as Alex taking care of his thing, you're watching East 10th Street Boys straight out of Highly on the Fins Talk Sports Network, listening to it on the Fins Talk Podcast Network. Alex, let's talk on some Miami Heat right now, and we'll come back to the Jonathan Taylor Miami Dolphins stuff as we go on throughout the show.
Okay.
But there has been some movement now. There's some reports. It's been stale for a while, but now there's reports that the Portland Trail Blazers might now start being ready to talk with the Heat again. So we're waiting on that. I'll let you touch on that on the on Fast Break. Are you hosting the show tomorrow?
No, next week. We're not. We'll have it next week. Yeah.
Unless something breaks.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Unless something breaks, we don't have Fast Break tomorrow.
So here's something I found today. I thought it was really interesting, and I want to just get your reactions. I'll follow up if I have them.
Okay.
But again, on fansided.com, Tyler Watts had a whole article. I don't have it from me, but I have the list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
5 moves that he could make if they don't get Damian Lillard.
Okay.
First off, the first one that he had on there, number 1, was finally some Heat talk. You spent an hour on that Jonathan Taylor guy. It's Jonathan Taylor. It's Jonathan Taylor.
I love the way she added guy at the end.
That Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor guy.
Well, that's how she doesn't know who I'm talking about. Rob does say trade
Thomas.
Yeah. Tyreek Hill said, Rob, that'd be great if Tyreek Hill was in the comments. Rob says trade for Hill was a first rounder, a second rounder, 2 fourths, and a 6.
Oh, 1 first rounder. Okay. And
Still rich. That's a lot of picks. It's a lot of picks. Okay. Alex, the first one he says, if you don't trade for Damian Lillard, trade for Chris Paul. I don't have the what he has in there specifically, but he says trade for Chris Paul. Just give me your
Kyle Lowry?
I don't see what's in there, but hey, you make it up in your head. If it's meaning trading Kyle Lowry or whatever, you down with that?
I mean, I would do it for Kyle Lowry.
Okay.
This is like option 4C in my book right now with Paul. But I would do it for Kyle Lowry if that's a scenario.
Chris
So we're just
Paul
doing
with Jimmy
hypothetical
Butler and
scenarios.
Bam, I'm
Yeah,
down with.
absolutely, absolutely.
I would say go get Joel Embiid, Vito says.
Of course,
Hey,
it's just gonna
dude,
cost you. It's gonna cost you.
Vito. Oh, Rob, good night, my man. Guys, catch Rob. You catch
Good
him.
night,
Hopefully,
Thirsty.
I don't know if he has a show tomorrow. Well, he does have a show tomorrow night with Fitstock Sports, which is some real talk Fitstock 7:30 Eastern. Catch him and Steve Malloy.
Hmm.
Vito says just dump Lowry. I would say go get Joel Embiid. If we could get Joel Embiid, I'm all for it. And I know Clutch, who is traveling right now, he says no because he's not about moving Bam out of bio to the four. Absolutely could move Bam out of bio to the four.
They will
He's a
play perfect with
positionless
each other.
player.
Will play perfect with each other.
Yeah,
But that's
positionless
obviously
player.
going to be a big cost. So
And Chris, I'm gonna get to your comment right now as we keep going here. So, number 2, Alex. And let me just
mhm.
clarify for people because sometimes you might hear in the background a baby or two, or you might hear some clutter in the background. This is what's great about the Fitstock Sports Network, especially East 10th Street boys. We're laid back. We're living life. Life goes on around us, so don't mind too much of it if you don't mind. But anyway, and that's for our podcast listeners. But anyway, the other number 2 was wait for Donovan Mitchell, Alex.
ah, that obviously that's a scenario that's not going to happen this offseason. But I would not be surprised, depending on how the Caps do this following year. I understand he's under contract. I don't think he signs a super max with Cleveland. Um, I don't think that's his final destination as a player. I do believe he's a viable option for us once Jimmy's numbers are off the books. Obviously, when Bam becomes a free agent again, I believe in 2027 or 2026. That's when we're big players again in free agency. Even Tyler's contract, if he's still here, will be off the books. So that's something that you can look into. But I believe that's a more wait and see game. But you have a window right now. I don't see that as a viable option right now.
Number 3.
Mm-hmm.
And guys, I see Christopher, you have a great point there. I'm going to get to you, my brother.
Mm-hmm.
And you have 2 good ones. And then Anthony at the bottom there. But number 3 is go hard after Paul George.
Well, this is something that I brought up. I was intrigued this offseason because I believe Paul George would be the perfect player to play next to Jimmy Butler in this situation that we have. He's a natural pure scorer, um, but obviously the Clippers I guess are doubling down. They're going to continue with this as they go into a new arena. I thought they were going to make some changes, but they re-signed Westbrook, and it seems to be for now that unless there's a catastrophic injury or not, I do believe if Kawhi gets hurt in the season, I believe Paul probably gets moved if anything, and like one of those midseason trades if they're underperforming because the Clippers are a make or break year in my opinion. I still love him and Kawhi, but they have to stay healthy. They have to be able to play together to produce. So Paul George to me is definitely an option if that's not the case. And remember, like you mentioned, these are purely hypotheticals because in my humble opinion, if we don't acquire Dame, I don't move. I don't make any other move. I'm happy with the team we have. And I know I've said, I don't know if this is going to come up in what you said there. There is the only other option I would do is basically a dump trade for Lowry. That I don't mind acquiring a Harden. I don't mind acquiring a Paul. That's just dumping Lowry. And even if that's the case, um, even if we do acquire Dame, I do believe Kyle will be moved because he might start the season as a backup point guard. But I do believe there might be a subsequent move where you try to move him because I do genuinely believe that they're trying their hardest to keep Tyler Hero. I know in the forefront, remember, the front office can put out what they want to offer, but I do believe that there is a chance that Tyler Hero stays here, even with Dame trade. Now it comes down to what does Portland really want to do? Who do they really want? Jaquez. I know they're going to ask for Jovic. I wouldn't trade Jovic. I just see the natural development that he has. Honestly, I'm happy trading a salary dump and all our first round picks. This is a moment that I don't care about the picks. You can have all the picks Miami has. I would even trade Martin. I know Caleb Martin's an established player, but he's into the contract year next year. He's extension eligible. His contract, you're looking at probably 18 to 20 million a year. Do you want to pay that for Caleb Martin? That's another option.
So, everybody has comments there, Alex. Let me go ahead and continue here, and we'll get to everybody's comments.
Absolutely.
Because I love the interactions. You got Vito and Christopher. You got Anthony. Cap is now talking again about the Jonathan Taylor, saying there is a meme out there with Alec Ingold celebrating with Jonathan Taylor during their Badger days. Number 4, pry away Kawhi Leonard.
That was,
you brought that up.
I've brought this up before. Jimmy Butler, there was a situation where Kawhi wanted to team up with Jimmy Butler.
Yes.
But people don't realize this. This is, remember, Bob, remember when I talked about Jimmy Butler's extension when he signed that extra extension, the 4-year 184? I'm like, those numbers are not going to be so bad when the new CBA comes up, when the new contracts, when the salary cap goes up. And now we're starting to see that. People need to see it as an investment. People saw that we signed Jimmy Butler at 28, 29, 30, and we gave him another contract extension. Jimmy Butler arguably had his most productive year again with us, and he's going to be 34, if he's not already 34. I believe he's 33. So Jimmy Butler alone as an investment has paid dividends with the relationship he's built around the league. Dame doesn't come if Jimmy's not here, if Bam's not here. That's why you don't move a Bam. Like, people don't realize this. With Bam and Jimmy, you have the possibility every year to continue to improve, no matter what. Anybody that becomes available. Now, to pry away Kawhi, it's going to take a situation where they're underperforming again, because Kawhi is home. No matter what he says it, and he has the autonomy. I don't know. At this point, Bob, I honestly don't know with Kawhi if it's true what people say behind scenes, that he's difficult at times to play with, or he's difficult at times relationship-wise, what he expects. Kind of like the LeBron James effect, that he wants to do his own thing. Like the type of guy that would take a private plane, a private jet when his whole team is flying, like to another destination or whatnot. He seems to have that kind of like rapport over there where he kind of does whatever he wants to do. But I don't think it's going to be possible, because I do think he's going to stick it out with in LA with the Clippers. But obviously, if the possibility to acquire Kawhi comes up, you do the same thing. You do due diligence, and you move for him. Now, it happens to be that Dame situation, which is insane what I'm about to say. Dame is the low cost out of all of them because of his contract demand, of his playing demand. He just wants to play here, which he still hasn't said it publicly. I think it could get a little ugly, because he's kind of doing that via IG, reposting things, conference with Miami, and him and Bam playfully. So this is kind of like a foregone conclusion. I know for this guy Bill Simmons is going ape shit, and now talking about Dame, looking at the situation, maybe he could go to Minnesota. He's not gonna go to Minnesota, man. I understand you can be on ESPN Trade Machine and make any trade work, but people have to understand leverage. People have to understand relationships. He's either coming to Miami or that's it. There's no other option. Dame's not gonna change his mind. It just comes down to when the Blazers are willing to accept it, and if they want to have a shit show come training camp, because this is all in the Blazers. There's no problem with us. I'm happy, and that's the thing. The number one player that could arguably go, and people might be upset about Tyler Hero going. Tyler Hero wants to stay here, so yes. Tyler Hero has no problem going into camp, because he's gonna bust his ass and try to prove, don't trade me. I'm worth it. Keep me here. So this is all in the Blazers. The shit show's gonna be in Portland, not in Miami. The questions will come up in Miami, and we'll handle it as we always do.
I just think it'll be a lot worse for the Blazers that if they go make a trade, they send Dame Lillard to Miami, they don't get it back at Tyler Hero, or they get back a Jovic, or just without Tyler, whatever. Absolutely. Or which again, I'm on the opposite side of that. I mean, I love both of them. I'm not thankful for both of them. But the more guy who I think is going to be ready come season is Jaime compared to Jovic. But I love the trajectory of Jovic, but I think Jaime's ready now. But that's another thing. Number 5, very quick, is trade for Siakam. That's number 5. That's the final one. I'm not against it. I mean, it depends on what the cost is, but I mean, he's young.
It all depends on what the cost is. He fits.
He
Bam.
Can
play well next to Bam. But definitely it's going to cost you Hakis and Jovic. So I don't know if I'm willing to give that up for Siakam. To be honest with you, Bob.
One or the other. I mean, it has to be one. It can't be both. But again, I'm see that it's a little harder because I like Siakam. I really do, and I like his potential with this team. But again, Dame Lillard's a different. Man. In regards of all of these, none of them tell me, oh, I would definitely do this if Miami does it. I like Miami's roster now than I did more
Absolutely.
last year.
Oh,
I really
absolutely.
do. As
Absolutely.
is. As
Absolutely.
is. Do I think that, if you give up a Caleb Martin, a Jovic, or a Jaime, one or the other,
Hmm.
worst case scenario, both. Or do I think that hurts Miami if you go get a Dame Lillard, but you got to give up those guys? No, I don't.
No, no.
I think Miami, but let's say the trade does not go down and they go into camp with this team or they start the season with this team.
Hmm.
I think you're looking at a better roster than you had last year. People are
Absolutely.
sleeping on Thomas Bryant.
Hey, and Boston, to me, Boston got weaker. I understand you got Porzingis, but Boston got defensively weaker. Boston's going to be a worse team this year than they were last year. I don't think people realize that. I
Let
understand
me,
Porzingis is a sexy pick, but
yeah.
I believe Philadelphia's in turmoil, so we don't even know how Philadelphia's going to look like. Now you're looking at the uprising Cleveland. If Cleveland could take the next step, you're looking at Orlando improving. You're looking at New York. New York is going to improve as well, and Milwaukee still. Depending on you got a new head coach, you really don't have Milwaukee really didn't do anything to improve their roster. Like those are the things that I'm looking around. I'm like, I'm mad at all. If the Dame to trade situation doesn't come up, Dame never demands a trade, and I see this Miami team going into training camp, I'm happy as hell, bro. I got a determined hero. I got Jovic balling out in FIBA, which is international competition, and he's one of the best players and one of the best teams in the world. I believe Serbia is ranked number 9 or number 10, and he's one of the best players on that team on
Have
the
you been
national
watching him
stage.
or have you been
Yeah,
just
man. No,
catching him in? Okay.
absolutely. Oh my God, Bob, it's night and day. He looks like a completely different player. He's just playing ball.
That international play is so much different for those
Oh,
type of players. And drafting those type of players are the best case scenario. People don't realize because they're playing
absolutely.
against pros.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
let's get to some of these comments on here, guys. And
Yeah. Go
again,
ahead. Go ahead.
reminder here, we're at about an hour and 12 minutes in. We're having a great show where I think we are.
Hmm.
Talk Jonathan Taylor. We're still talking Jonathan Taylor, but now we're talking Dame
That
Lillard,
Jonathan Taylor guy,
that
that Damian
Jonathan
Lillard
Taylor
guy.
guy. Thanks, Todd. But you're watching East 10th Street Boys straight out of Hialeah on the Fitz Talk Sports Network with Alex and Bobby. And you're also listening to us on the Fitz Talk Podcast Network, um, which would be recorded. It's being live on the YouTube and will be added on after. So if you want to catch us live, you could come onto the YouTube channel, smash that like and subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications, and tune in. Christopher Jones, another great point for Christopher, man. And I mean, Christopher, thank you, man, for tuning in, brother.
Hmm.
Chris says the Jonathan Taylor situation parallels the Dame situation. We want the solid, proven player who's actually younger than Dame Lillard, though. That's where the parallel stops. But we want a solid, young, proven player, but at Hero's expense. Hero is younger, but like Mozart and Wilson, injured when we needed him most. Alex, you want to respond to that comment?
Well, it happened to be that he got injured on a hustle play, which honestly, it's funny how the people get criticized for hustling, and he just dove with the wrong hand. When you're diving to the ground, as a shooter, you can never dive with your lead hand being your shooting hand because it's much better if you break your left hand. In this case, obviously, it was just a play that he wishes he could take back. It's a natural instinct, but I don't fault him for it. And honestly, this was his playoff to prove what he can do. It's unfortunate that he wasn't able to come back in time, and the fact that he couldn't prove it. But in my opinion, the hero upside and who he is as a player, people don't. I told you this once, and if Hero does get traded, people will appreciate Hero more once they see him from afar than when they see him here. Because for some reason, when we have a player this close, we tend just to be critical of what he can't do. But people are not focusing on what Hero actually does. You can't teach a lot of things that Hero does. Hero has that clutch in him, the same situation that Dame has. You can't teach that. In those moments, that just comes from a player from within. And I've been playing basketball my whole life. I'm still around players. You cannot teach certain things that you just see in Tyler Hero. I understand it could be collateral for Dame, so that's why I'm okay trading away Tyler because we are acquiring Dame Lillard. So if any other situation, and Bobby's my witness here, I'm a hard no on trading Hero. Like I've been a hard no on trading Bam for no one. I wouldn't trade Bam for absolutely anyone. So it's just a situation. It sucked that it happened, but you can't do nothing much now.
So let
Mm-hmm.
me just um, Anthony says, Bobby and Alex, I think realistically, in order for Miami to get Damian Lillard, we would have to either do a 3-team trade, maybe with the
Yeah,
Nets, who want
most
Tyler
likely.
Hero. Absolutely. We've touched
Yeah,
on that before. Vito says, Hero could stay. Duncan Robinson could be the trade bait. Jones says, no critique, just the fact, but it's 2 Eastern finals in a row.
absolutely,
Uh, Duncan and Lowry
absolutely.
can go. That's why Raleigh wants to hold on to Hero. Christopher Jones
Yeah,
and Vito, thank you guys. And Anthony.
Duncan becomes essential if you acquire Dame because his shooting alone in that lineup will open up so many
That's the
things.
thing. If let's say
But
Tyler goes and you keep
yeah,
you get Damian Lillard, you trade Hero, but you keep Robinson, that
mhm,
becomes very interesting. So,
yeah,
I think it's less likely Hero stays if you trade for Lillard because somebody's going to get him. And
absolutely.
but I don't think it's, again, just like before with the Dolphins. I don't think it's by accident that you see UD
Now,
showing love to Hero. We
no,
know
at
they're
all, at
boys, we
all,
know that, but
at all.
also he is looking out for the Heat. He's trying to save face with them.
Yeah,
I think that is something where it's like, hey, if we don't trade Hero,
he
let's make
loves
sure.
Miami. He out of all the players aside from UD, Tyler Hero loves his family's
with
here. His
Damian
life is
Lillard,
here.
with Damian Lillard
Yeah,
and Jimmy Butler there with him, with obviously Bam. But Damian Lillard, just because he'll be the one coming in, you
hmm
might get the best version of Tyler
and
Hero.
oh, absolutely. And Bob, I'm gonna say so. I haven't said this yet. I don't believe I have. I know I have said I'm okay with trading away Martin because we signed Jay Rich, but I'm also intrigued about the defensive possibilities when you have Jay Rich, Caleb Martin, and Jimmy Butler. I don't think this team understands. Just signing Jay Rich, I understand Thomas Bryant as well gives you the big. And look, now we have front court depth. Before we were very front court thin. Now we have 3 players over 6'10", 6'11", so that are gonna get playing time. And you even have Orlando Robinson as insurance, which Orlando Robinson will probably get some more minutes in the G League this year. But Orlando Robinson is a legit backup center in the NBA right now, and there's situations where I just see this team construct. It could go many ways. Still, if you trade for Dame, obviously you're trading multiple players, so you still got pre-nominally 2 players that I haven't signed yet, and I know the rumors continue, and they saw them again today: Kelly Oubre and Christian Wood. Those are the players that will like that. They're just waiting to see how this Dame situation plays out. When that Dame situation plays out, then we know what's gonna happen, who we moved, who can we sign. But either way, no matter which way it goes this off season, there's things that oh look, Deion Watkins has come back. Kendrick Nunn wants to come back. There's rumors that Nunn wants to sign again with the Heat, but the Heat are still tentative. They're not looking into it
Or
right now
Goran
because there's a
Dragic.
lot of things. Goran Dragic. There's so many possibilities, man, that people don't realize that we can still be young. It all comes down to what is the cost. And at this point, Bob, and I know, for example, Vito said that he saw he met up with Donovan Mitchell in the meet at the
Yes.
Apple Store,
Oh, that was another. I'm
and
so sorry, Vito.
Donovan Mitchell was supposed to end up in Miami. That trade faltered at the end. That it didn't happen. But Donovan Mitchell was supposed to be in Miami Heat. Um, those are situations like I get. It could be revisited. I don't believe we're going to be able to acquire him from Cleveland. But no matter which way it goes, this offseason, whether we trade for Dame or not, I don't know realistically what Portland is doing. I don't know what Portland is trying to do. The only thing I can imagine, Portland is trying to hold on to see if Dame changes his mind, which I don't think is going to happen. I think it's too far gone. And it doesn't do any justice to Portland alone. You're keeping Dame at this point just because you want to, because you don't want to trade him. But it's not doing you any justice. You need to lose if you're Portland this year. You don't want to give your pick, which I believe belongs to Chicago, if it's not in the lottery. So you need to lose this year. You have a young core. You're going to build for the future. This is your opportunity to acquire a few first round picks, acquire maybe a Yahakis, a Jovic, depending on what you want, or even a Tyler Hero. You can add pieces to the team. Now, I don't know, Bob, if they're doing this to get back at Damian Lillard because if they would have known Damian Lillard was going to demand a trade, they would have never re-signed Grant. Or sign and trade Grant because I don't think they maxed out Grant, but they gave him like a 5-year, 170 million or 160 million dollar deal, and you're basically just paying him. You're not going to win this year or the next. You have a solid core going forward of young players, a young nucleus with Scoot, arguably a top pick in any other draft, the number one overall pick. So you have a nucleus to build from. I don't know at this point why are you still holding on to Dame. Like it's not gonna do you any favors, and his value's gonna go lower as time goes on.
Let me
So
just uh, get to these last two comments, and then we'll move on to our fun part of the show, which
Go
everybody's
ahead.
welcome to
Go
go
ahead.
with it, to roll with it. But Vito says, like you guys said earlier, all the Miami teams are a hot destination. Hey, Tyreek Hill to the Miami Dolphins, Jalen Ramsey to the
Mm-hmm.
Miami Dolphins, maybe Jonathan Taylor to the Miami Dolphins. Dalvin Cook wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
Leo Messi to enter
Leo Messi,
Miami.
man.
Hey, Damian Lillard to the Miami Heat. Now we
Mm-hmm.
just need Shanti Otani to go to the Marlins. And then we'll be golden. It's what it is, But I will say Luis Reyes is pretty close. He's doing a great job down there,
Mm-hmm.
those guys. So Christopher Jones says Blazers drafted Dame's replacement, which was Scoot Henderson, which flies in the face of their supposed commitment to Dame. Absolutely true.
Mm-hmm.
If the Blazers entangle Dame and don't honor his wishes, their chemistry will not work. It's
No,
the
at
wrong
all.
message.
At all.
Absolutely right.
Wrong message to the team and wrong message to the league. And Cronin, at this point, I don't know if Cronin's trying to save his job.
Cronin's an
Cronin,
idiot.
Cronin
Sorry.
could get fired. And this is about, it's funny because they were comparing this. I heard Ethan talk about it in 5 Reasons. Cronin kind of was like the Greer version in Portland. He's been in the organization for like 15 years or something. He's been there since Dame got drafted. He started moving up little by little, and then he got promoted to GM. So this is the part that I don't understand. He has a relationship with Dame. He's known Dame for years. So what goes on behind closed doors, we don't know. But this being elongated and dragging into training camp is not good for Portland at all. And I don't think the media realizes that, and I don't think they're gonna see it until it happens. But this all plays into the Heat's favor. So it's just a waiting game for us, and we're not gonna cave. Pat Riley's not gonna cave, and the Ellerberg's not gonna cave. They're gonna trade exactly who they want to trade for Dame Lillard, and that's unreal for me to say. To actually, we're gonna trade whoever we want to trade for Dame Lillard.
Yeah,
Period.
it's crazy. It's just we'll see what
That's
happens. Um,
okay.
guys,
Let the
again,
fun begin.
yeah, for everyone tuning in, East End Street Boys, hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already, man. I'd appreciate it. And come join us every Monday night. We got great content on the channel, great content. Not just Dolphins. We got Heat, obviously. We got soccer now, pro soccer. We got wrestling. Soon baseball. We got hockey coming up. We got a lot of great stuff on the channel, on the Fids Talk Sports Network here on YouTube. Hit that like and subscribe button. We got fantasy football. If you're a fantasy football player, you love playing fantasy football with your friends, family, or coworkers, Wednesday nights, once upon a Sunday, let those guys guide you to making the best decision, man. They got great stuff at 8 o'clock Eastern on Wednesday nights. All right. This is a fun segment here, okay? And everyone who's tuning in, thank you. Please participate, all right? This is just some random stuff, and then we're going to close it up afterwards. But this is what we do on East 10th Street, boys. This is what makes it fun. All right. Number one, Alex. These are just
Yes, sir.
random questions I got from the internet. We're going to be very
Okay.
honest with you.
Okay.
But they're the most ridiculous or kind of funny that I was like, oh, we could do this. This could be,
Okay.
All right. Number one, Alex. If animals could talk, which one would be the rudest?
If animals could talk, which one would be the rudest? Holy shit. Hold on. Oh my god. I know the hyena will be like the most annoying one, but the rudest. Someone that thinks that they're better than they are. Like the Karen of animals. Damn. I want to say like
Vito
11
Vito says a dog.
a dog.
Anthony says howler monkeys. Christopher says raise your volume. That means probably speak louder.
That's just. I'm sorry, Chris. It's technical issues, man. We don't know what happens when we go live. I'm sorry, brother. Hold on. But damn, Bob, that was a good question.
Good one to start, right?
It's an amazing question because what animal do you see that you're like that you just think they're better than? I think the lion will be the most firm. Like, oh man, hold on. Give me a second.
It was easy for me. I'm not gonna lie to you. But I don't want to give it just yet. I'm gonna see if you kind of meet me here. I think you'll probably get there. Maybe not.
You said the meanest, right?
Yeah, the rudest.
The rudest.
The rudest animal. The one that, like, if it could talk and it sees you come out of here, like you get out of the bathroom and you're all dressed up to go out for the night with the wife, and it looks at you and go, you look like a piece of shit. Like, you look terrible. Change your shirt. It's giving you a judgmental look.
I want to say like a fox.
Why a fox?
A fox. I think a fox would be like because I think of Zootopia. And I
Dude,
think the fox from Zootopia. For some reason, I have it.
Okay. Well, ooh, that's interesting.
That's
Okay,
why
I get
I
that.
think so. I think so.
Anthony
What's
says
yours?
he says the most arrogant animal would be an elephant. That's what he thinks. That's interesting.
I think they'll be the kindest because they're like the gentle giant. Like,
The monkeys at the zoo. That's so true, dude. You
oh
know
shit,
they're
for real.
cussing you out.
Oh, the silverback gorilla.
Dude, that's a
Silverback
good one.
gorilla.
That's a good one. The
Oh,
gorilla. That's
yes.
true.
Yeah.
You ever seen those TikToks where the gorillas just like the
Mhm.
facial expressions?
Yeah. I think
That's
so.
true. That's true.
I think
You
so.
know, though, you know what, though? You were going right there, but you didn't finish it. You were saying, I said the rudest. You said one that judges or
Yeah.
what. To me, it's a cat. And
Oh.
I was surprised you did not go there with your history of cats.
That's true.
Cats,
They're the
I think, are the
Karens. They're the-
rudest. Like, you know, they're better than you. They think they're better than you. You know, the honey badger, because they don't truly
That's
give
true.
a I don't know if they're the rudest. I just think they're the ones that don't give a F, I would say.
Even the way cats bathe, they look like
And they
think
look
they're
at you
better.
as they're doing it. Like, to me, that cat is like, if you look,
Yeah.
cat's looking at you, it's like,
Yeah.
you know, it's like, hey, honey, and it, you know, it kind of backs up, but then it
And
wants
they
you to
use
feed
you
it.
because they just come at you when they want attention.
They're watching you pick
That's
up the
true.
litter. You know what I mean? They're
That's
watching you
true.
scoop
That's
it.
true.
As they go back in and kick it out. It's like, it's cats, dude. It's cat. It has to be cats.
I
That's my
like this,
opinion.
man.
But I love the monkeys and the gorilla. I think that's
true. That's
perfect. It could be so true.
By the way, we need to have this segment every single show, Bob.
I got to just come up with random questions.
Random
Yes.
questions, man. Random questions.
So here's the other
Okay.
one. All right, guys. This one I just thought was stupid as hell, but it's kind of funny.
Okay.
Is cereal soup?
It's cold soup.
It's, do you think it's soup? Would you call it soup?
I wouldn't call it soup, but I think it's a pool of milk.
Christopher, I'm a cat. I have a cat too. Nina, I've had her for 14 years.
Mhm.
She's a sweetheart. We're cat people too. We have
Yeah.
dogs too. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm on, man. I love my cat. You know, she's a sweetheart. You know, and but
Oatmeal, that's
I can
true.
admit to it.
Oatmeal is close. That's absolutely
Oatmeal's
true.
close.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes. But you see, I love oatmeal hot and cold. I can
Tati,
eat
I
oatmeal
didn't come
either
up with
way.
the questions. I found the questions. I just put them into the show. And
It's cereal
Vito,
soup. That is awesome.
Vito, Christopher, TJ, everyone tuning in for the first time. Tatiana's my wife. So you see her just
Yeah.
hammering on me. Usually I hammer on her. It's nothing personal. Kind of is. It's just that we're married. So it's what it is. But anyway.
But I can see that. I can see that, like having frosted
God,
flakes
no.
soup, frosted flakes, cold soup. That's awesome.
You want some soup? Yeah, I'll have
You
some
want
soup.
some
Here's
soup?
a
Have some
here's
cold
a
soup?
here's a plate of cornflakes.
Some
Here's a bowl of
cold
corn.
soup.
Let me get your broth. This is called milk. It's like, what?
Now, you know what's funny, Bob? We never talked about this actually. But when I started eating cereal, it was always hot milk because I don't know what with Cubans, my grandma will make obviously café con leche, and she will pour cereal in her café con leche at times. So when I started eating cereal, it was
interesting.
hot milk, like café con leche. Imagine having café con leche, right? You go and you order café
Yeah.
con leche, you put that on your bowl, and then you put cereal in it. That's how I started having cereal. When I
Yo.
met you, is when I started having. That's when I realized that people in my house, the Cuban community, I don't know if it's across the world or not, but we don't drink just cold white milk. Our milk was always with coffee or warm with chocolate. But when I started like hanging around, and I'm like, wait a second, you eat this cold? Like, you just put cold milk on your cereal? I'm like, holy shit! And obviously, it changed my world because I love cereal. I'm a cereal.
But little did you know you were the odd one out. You're
Oh,
like,
man.
you put cold
Yeah,
what? You put
yeah.
cold milk in your
What is
cereal?
this?
What a
It's
freak!
abysmal.
I'm going back to Cuba. That's what you said. I'm going.
You see it, Rancho Lunas. I'm telling you, man.
There you go, Vito. No, Vito, you gotta let us know, man. Tell us. Maybe we'll get one. Vito, Chris, and TJ. We gotta get them into the show one of these days to do these segments. That would be
Yes,
fun.
man. Yeah, for sure.
Lord knows I know that how that is. TJ, if you're talking about the wife, trust me, brother. We could go all day with that too. Yep, you boil the milk and put it. Let me tell you something about boiling the milk. See, we're going off topic here, but I'm going to say it. And I know she's watching, and I hope she doesn't say it, but she probably will. Yeah, so I have a what's that thing you put the little pot in for the coffee? You put the pot in, you put the water.
Oh, like yeah. Like
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I got you.
I don't know
Like
what the machine is.
The Keurigs.
Huh?
The
Keurigs, yes. Look,
Yeah.
she knows what I'm about to do. So this is how I make my coffee, Alex. Okay, so I put it in the Keurig. All right.
Uh-huh.
Put my cup, put the Keurig, turn it on, get the milk out of the fridge after it's done, and just pour the milk into the cup of coffee. Drink it. It's still hot.
Yeah.
Hot coffee, sugar, everything's done.
Uh-huh.
What they do, and by they, talking about my wife, my mother-in-law, my father-in-law. They make the coffee like that. You know, they either get the regular, make it in the normal way, or my wife puts a Keurig. But then they put the milk in the whatever, Tati. They put the milk in the microwave, boil the milk. So they're putting hot milk with hot coffee, pouring it, and they're drinking it that way. Okay,
Absolutely.
Whatever. You know, I think it's ridiculous because it's hot anyway. But whatever. Whatever. I judge up to a certain point. Here's where it's funny. Yesterday. Okay. Obviously, it was Sunday. We were home. We're up. I made coffee. My wife made coffee. And thank you, Alex. Whatever it's at. My father-in-law makes coffee. So I'm sitting there minding my business. I think I was already done with the coffee. I was making lunch at that point. And this is what I hear. He makes the coffee. He sits down here.
He heated up the milk too much?
I'm like, my wife goes, Poppy, man, stop. I'm like, geez, Lou, just drink your coffee. You know, if you don't like it that way, then don't do it that way. Like, that's too damn hot. Now, what's the point? That's not enjoying coffee.
The trick, Bob, for me, because, for example, the way you do it is how, like, when you go to Starbucks, the key there is put the milk first. So the milk is cold, and you're pouring, or in this case, the Keurig is making the coffee onto the milk. That will warm up the milk more. It's a little bit different when you have hot coffee, and then you pour cold milk into it. Because it's still hot, but it's like more tepid. It's not really like a hot coffee that you want. But
mine's is hot.
Yours.
Mine's is hot.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's hot. I'm still, but of course it's in I'm pouring it into one of those stainless steel, whatever you call it.
Like a to-go cup. Yeah.
Yes, I'm pouring it in there. Okay. I close it. I walk out, but it's still hot. I mean,
I got you.
But I mean, my goodness, hot with hot. Like you're burning your tongue off.
It's funny because my son is.
I don't think my mother-in-law has feelings in her lips. And her fingers. She grabs hot things like nothing.
And it's true here. If you only put a little bit of milk, it's not going to be a big difference.
So bull crap. I don't put a splash of milk. It turns.
You put a lot.
Yes, I pour milk. Okay, yeah. So it's different. Like if I want like straight coffee, I will pour that much.
I actually do the same thing what you do. I don't like using creamer a lot. I like using milk and just.
I use milk.
Yeah, I use like milk that too. Yeah.
Vito went to Miami High. I went to Springs High. I went to Miami Springs High.
I always had hot milk.
Yeah, there you go. But I just think it's so funny, I don't put a splash. What is she talking? I'm gonna have to show her.
No, I'm telling you, my son does the same thing, TJ. He does it. He just puts. It's funny because he just puts extra cubes because he really likes iced coffee. So he'll do this, and then he just throw like another 3 or 4 ice cubes. So because some people want to drink it right away, they just want to tap it like that.
But again, Alex, when you come over to visit,
we'll do the coffee.
I'm going to give you my coffee. I'm going to give you
this.
Yes. No, we're going to do live shows whenever we're together. We're doing live shows. But it's not like it's it's cool. Like, don't get me wrong. When I go to like the Starbucks, I'll say Subway, Starbucks, I do get a frappe. I get mocha frappe cold. I love it. But to me, you need a full cup of milk. No, you don't. You pour, you get to change the color, you stir, you're done. These people, heating the milk, heating the coffee. Then they're like, oh, my coffee's a little too cold. No, they put it in the microwave. It's like, what's the point of coffee? Drink fire. What the hell? Anyway.
Drink fire.
Jesus. Anyway. So what's the most boring sport?
To watch or play?
One or the other.
Promise, I haven't watched every sport. But the most boring, honestly, the most boring sport to watch. I love the experience and I love to play it, but one of the most boring sports to watch is baseball on a minute to minute basis. Yeah, on TV to me, because now baseball's a game that can change it. Okay, now you got curling. That's true. Golf. Can't stop watching golf.
I see. It's same thing with like.
That's true.
Golf.
I'm playing it though, yeah.
Golf it's hard to watch. I never really played a round of golf. Also, mini golf.
Cornhole.
I've gone to the range. Cornhole. Oh, jeez. Watching it, yeah. I guess playing it too.
Sports
but
that are like,
I've gone to the range with Alex. I've gone to the range with Alex before. I have done that one time. I do remember that. And I've done mini golf, but I've never done actual golf. And I know people who love it playing it. Watching it's hard. Playing the game, I like playing the game.
And it's funny,
I learned
when I say baseball. Bob, have you ever seen the Savannah Bananas? Have you heard of them?
No.
Savannah Bananas. This guy bought a team. Well, basically made a team. They're in Georgia, they travel. They're like the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball. Look them up. Savannah Bananas.
Okay.
So they make it fun. It's for high ally. When he said my grandfather was into high ally, I've been getting into high ally, and I wanna actually go live. Me and Rocco
Since it's
talked
on
about going live.
ESPN, since it's with ESPN, I'm going to go with the spelling bee. I'm going with the spelling bee. So.
A mental sport.
You know,
Oh man.
but the Savannah Eric really the Harlem really. I
I'm
never
telling
knew
you,
that. I'm gonna look them
bro,
up.
bro, just go to their Instagram, Bob, and just watch their videos.
No, see, this is different.
Amazing.
Tati, when you say a baseball game in Puerto Rico, are you talking about going to the game or watching the game on TV? I could watch a baseball game on TV if there's stakes, if they're getting into a wild card and they're playing in the playoffs.
Absolutely,
I could watch that.
Absolutely.
I could watch when it's really like into the ninth inning and it's about, and it's all full, but watching it from start to finish could get pretty boring.
We can say the most exciting game to watch, would you say is basketball, football?
Football, because every score counts.
wrestling.
Basketball is better in the second half.
Yeah, and it's back and forth.
That's when it's back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I think it's at its best. Football, to me, is the most exciting because every score counts.
Mm-hmm.
A three, a field goal, a touchdown, a safety. You're always going, when somebody scores a 3-point play at the beginning of the game, you're not going, 3. You're just like, oh, okay, it's a 3. But at the second half, you're screaming. You're going nuts.
Last 2 minutes.
But no, going to a baseball game in general is a great thing. I love going to baseball games.
I love going to baseball.
Chilling out, hot dog, chilling out with the family, whatever. That's awesome.
It's a cool pastime, yeah.
Yeah, but watching it could get
soccer's Anthony. Soccer, yeah, I could get if you're not into soccer, I could understand why. And this is funny to me because they did a comedian compared football to like soccer, and they're like, oh yeah, football's so cool because you score the score's like 49-42. It's like, and it's funny because the way he was breaking down was like the score's not really 49-42. The score's like 7-6 because we decided when whoever did football was like, oh, if you score a touchdown, it's 6 points. So the score is elevated, but like in reality, if a team scores 24 points or 21 points, you're really just scored 3 touchdowns, and a field goal. So those are things like that people see. Like I understand that the dynamic when a high scoring game in football.
GR, let me say hi to GR here, who's just tuning in. We appreciate you, brother. We've been talking a lot about Jonathan Taylor, but here on East 10th Street Boys, we talk about everything. We spent a whole hour on Jonathan Taylor.
For example,
Evan, there he is. How you doing, brother? Good to see you, my man.
Talk about soccer, just the effect of Leo Messi. People watch the game just to see Leo Messi. People go. Well, Bob, it was in Nashville. I don't know if you're around the area, if you got to drive around the stadium. Which, by the way, that Nashville stadium is beautiful.
Yes, amazing. They did a great job.
It's amazing, and just the atmosphere, it just gravitates because those players. Soccer is kind of like those marquee players. You're not there to watch the 11 men. No, you're there to watch certain players. So I know in the U.S. it's gonna pick up, but I can get why it could be boring. You see players walking back and forth, things of that sort. So you need when you're on TV.
I always thought soccer. And Evan does have a Messi jersey. He bought one.
Did you get it black? Beautiful. Did you get the black?
No,
one?
pink and black.
Oh man, I'm dying to get the black one, man.
So let me just say, let me see this very quick. Mm-hmm. My baby eating a pen. Okay. I used to think soccer was boring. I did until I started watching the World Cup with my in-laws and my wife, and I saw the France team play when they won the first cup, and I saw Mbappe, and I thought I was hooked, and I just thought it was exciting, and I got really into it. And since then, I do enjoy it. GR, a late arrival. My opinion, we don't need him. What we have is fine. We need an O-line to open holes. What O-line is equivalent to Jonathan Taylor? What player on the O-line that is available is equivalent to Jonathan Taylor? I agree with you. If there was a Zach Martin or a Quentin Nelson, a guy who could play guard to put on the offensive line, I'm with you. I'm with you. But Jonathan Taylor, pink is beautiful. Daniel Marino.
Damn, now that I say that, bro.
Evan, put in the comments. I know you'll be on there Thursday night on the Fins bandwagon, but what do you think about the Jonathan Taylor situation? Let me get to the next one, Alex, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Which musician do you think would make the best teacher?
Let's say Prince.
Say what?
Prince.
Really? Interesting. How
Because
so? Very quick.
Prince knew every instrument. He was a very interesting guy. He had his whole life wasn't just music; it was putting on a show. So as students, you will love to go to his class because he's gonna make every class entertaining.
Both, Christopher, alive or dead. Vito says DJ Khaled.
Another one.
That's
You got
awesome.
homework? Another one. Oh my God, we got another test? Another one.
A Chihuahua, hands down. Anthony, I did see it, man. You had you didn't have Coyote. I'll go back and look. Let's keep going. You know what? It's funny. I like that answer. That's really I like it.
That's why. There's
Honestly,
never a person that has a bad story about Prince.
can I just tell you?
Yeah.
Recently, I grew up on listening to Elvis and enjoying Elvis music and everything. My brother does Elvis and all that. My dad is in that Elvis.
Mm-hmm.
But I've always listened to his stuff before, but not really. But Johnny Cash.
Johnny Cash was legit.
Johnny Cash, and I'm not talking about as a musician.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not
Life.
teaching music. I'm talking about
Life.
teaching life. You listen to I watched this documentary on Netflix about when he went to go perform for Nixon and how he was, he was proud of the country, yet he was okay, but he was bold enough to be critical of situation.
Yeah.
And then you listen to his music. I don't know if you ever there's several songs I'm going to send to you, dude. There's one where he talks about goodness gracious, if I could just remember the damn name, and I'll tell everybody now to go listen to it. It is so much fun, and my wife says, don't play that out loud, or, people are going to think. Cocaine Blues.
Mm-hmm.
Cocaine Blues was a great. The thing about Johnny in regards to his music is that you can listen to his music, and it's a story.
Yeah, yeah.
Hurt, and
Hurt is amazing. It's amazing. That's one of his older songs.
Yes, it was one. It was actually his version of a song, a rock song, and it was beautiful. Mm-hmm. But he was that song.
I agree with Tati here. That there's not a woman that is going to sound like Whitney Houston.
I loved Whitney Houston growing up, dude. Whitney Houston was what I really loved about Whitney too. Is obviously my name is Bobby. Her husband was Bobby Brown. Her daughter was Bobby Christina, and I grew up loving Whitney Houston. Just sad the way that went. But anyway, Johnny Cash. Just life in general. Mm-hmm. I would go with Johnny Cash. For me, I would either say Jimi Hendrix or Hank Williams Sr. Nice. There you go. Brian May.
Hank Williams, the Monday night themes.
Ooh, this one. Okay. What sound? There's a funny one right after this. But what sound would be the scariest sound if you could hear it? If you heard it, it would scare the hell out of you.
Oh my God, the one about that there's a meme that the cop gets scared. That sounds like a witch.
The banshee.
I don't know if it's that. It was
yes.
like a mountain. That's it.
Yeah, the scream.
That he's just walking around at night and then he just goes back to his car.
Yes.
I think that would scare the living shit. Anything at night. It has to be at night. In the morning, you're not gonna scare. Night.
No, I mean
nighttime.
Dude,
ocean.
The ocean. That's a good one.
That is depending on. Yeah. Wow.
And my wife loves the beach, or she wants to see the beach. I think she just loves staring at it.
My dad does say, obviously, my dad grew up in a farm, and he does say that farm at night, the emptiness and the sounds of the nature as you're walking through is also a little spooky. I would say a cemetery at night. Being in a cemetery at night.
The silence of the cemetery.
The silence, which is crazy.
So, for me, it's true though. The scariest sound. Mm-hmm. Evan. But anyway, the sounds are a lot more scarier when they're in the unknown, in the dark.
Yeah.
I would tell you. I mean, I think the banshee thing is obviously very scary. You hear that in the blackness, and you're like,
crazy,
whoa. But for me, and it might get deep, but for me, the sound of a tornado siren. That's pretty scary for me. That's pretty that sets up my alerts. And the one I never heard, and I hope I don't hear, is probably during the day it's easier because you see them, but you think of home invasions, God forbid,
Yeah, yeah,
somebody tapping on a window in the middle of the
yeah.
night, that could be
Your
fucking.
kids, yeah, that's crazy. That's
So,
that
but
part. Yeah,
obviously I'm into paranormal stuff. So if I hear like a scream in the darkness in the woods, I'm like, what's that?
Now
Uh,
imagine it's not a scream, but imagine you hear a voice in the middle of the woods. You're by yourself at night, and a voice starts talking to you, and you
dude,
can't see it. That
you
would
know I
freak out.
love you know I love
Yeah,
ghost stuff. You know that.
absolutely, absolutely.
So one of my favorite shows growing up and
Oh shit,
in
La
cop.
Llorona. That's true.
Yo. But one of my
Llorona.
favorite shows is Ghost Adventures. I love Ghost
Yeah.
Adventures.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of episodes that scared the hell out of me, but one of the
Son of a hurricane.
scariest things I remember, I was in our apartment, uh, Tati, my mother-in-law, my daughter, and I was going to the living room. My normal routine, going to the living room. I don't do that now. I usually watch it here. I haven't really gotten to a chance to sit down, but I would turn off all the lights, and I get my Oreos and my milk, and I'd watch Ghost Adventures. And my mother-in-law went with my daughter in her room, and my wife went in her room, and I Jesus, Tati,
Yeah, you would drown. Yes,
because she can't
that's
swim. How can you grow up on an island in Puerto Rico and you don't know how to swim? I mean, my goodness, I don't get it. But anyway, not here to criticize her, just bring up facts. But anyway, just a couple more questions, Chris. Just one good one right after this, and then we'll call it. But this one here, was watching Ghost Adventures,
Mhm.
and having Oreos, and it was this episode they were in Transylvania or something, and they heard about this lady in the woods, and they were investigating these things where they said, oh, the devil went to different places. So they were going, and they got some really scary things, but not enough for me to go, oh, I was really enjoying it, but I wasn't. It was when all of a sudden one of the guys, Aaron is one of the guys on the show, he was having some kind of panic attack, and he was crying. So Zach's like, hey, dude, get in the car, we'll drive down the hill, and they're driving some sort of Jeep with openness and all this. And I remember sitting down watching this in complete darkness, and I'm eating Oreo, and I'm chilling out, and I see the lights are off in everybody else's room, and watches, and all of a sudden, like Zach stops the car halfway down the hill, and he says, "What's wrong with you?" And he's like, "I don't know." He goes, "I feel like I did something wrong. Like when you do something wrong, and your mom told you not to do it, or your dad, and then you do it, and now you're gonna get in trouble." He goes, "That's how I feel." And all of a sudden, remember they're in the middle of the woods. You hear, "Hello," a woman, "Hello," and they go, "What was that?" "Hello," and they go, "Oh my God!" I remember, I get goosebumps. Right? I remember I got so damn scared of that. A normal woman, somebody saying hello.
Tell you, bro.
They drove down, dude. I turned off the show. I remember I'm like looking at the light. I'm like afraid to get off my chair to walk to my kitchen.
I'll stay
I'm like,
here.
I start going, "Hey Todd, and she's not coming. I'm like, I realized they're all sleeping. I'm like, oh, so I had to like turn the light, run off, go to the other one, turn the light off. It was like, oh my goodness.
Oh man.
All right, last but not least.
Okay.
And we'll end it there, and we'll have another segment last week. But she needed help in it. What is the weirdest thing that you ever eaten?
The weirdest thing I've ever eaten?
Yeah. I thought this fit with you because I know you've eaten some weird.
Well, okay. I would say the weirdest thing for some people might be, and I recommend it if people want to try it. Get tuna, make tuna with mayo, go heat up toast. It could be wheat, it could be white toast. Put grape jelly on your toast and put the tuna with the mayo on the toast. It's one of the most delicious things I've ever had, but it's weird for other people. Aluminum foil.
That wins. Tati's eaten shark before.
I've eaten turtle before in Cuba, so I've eaten turtle.
Really?
It was good. It wasn't bad. I'm not proud of it, but
you went with tuna with jelly over turtle.
Yeah, because the turtle, bro. When you cook meat, there it kind of tasted like chicken, so it wasn't like I've eaten alligator. Alligator's a little bit more chewy, but I do suggest people try that.
Not ignoring you, Evan.
Tuna with mayo. Prep tuna with mayo. Get toast. Put grape jelly on the toast, and put the tuna and eat it as a sandwich. I guarantee you, it's a lot. It's great if people like that salty and sweet mix. So I loved it as a kid, but I still eat it now. But that's something that you can try. It's weird.
Wow.
It's unique.
What's the weirdest thing I've ever eaten? Sushi. Sushi. And deer. I've had deer jerky. Because I'd
Deer
never.
jerky?
I've had deer jerky before. Yeah.
Oh.
So
Snake nuggets. Holy shit. Snake nuggets. I've never had that.
I didn't know snakes had nuggets.
Holy shit. I mean, you can make a
No,
nugget out of anything.
I know. I'm making a joke. It's bad. I'm sorry. Thank you. Um, Evan says,
But it's what I'm actually
if
having.
JT is
Fuck
not
this
a
shit.
Dolphin, if Jonathan Taylor is not a Dolphin, Chris Greer and McDaniel do not want to win now, and Ross is really not stepping in. So that's what Evan's comment is in regards of
Holy
Jonathan
mother
Taylor.
of Jesus. What is this? Spaghetti?
Oh,
Ragu
dude, they
sauce,
eat the
tuna.
nastiest stuff
Well,
there, dude.
this is the crazy thing. Obviously, my wife's Dominican, and the first time they made
Nobody's
spaghetti, I know, the first time they made spaghetti in her house, I go and her grandma's making spaghetti, and I'm like, okay, they're making the sauce, a little bit of meat. I'm like, all right, cool, perfect. And then I see they're making white rice as well, and I'm like, why are they making rice? And I'm like, oh, whatever. Maybe they're gonna have some chicken on the side, whatever. They serve. They start serving the plates, and they start serving the spaghetti. They put the sauce, and then they get the white rice and they put it next to it. And I'm like, okay, I'm a little weirded out. I'm like, what's gonna happen here? When they sit down at the table, they start mixing the rice with the spaghetti and the sauce, and I'm like, what the hell is that, bro? And they're like, oh yeah, because when we have rice, it's like the spaghetti is the meat. I'm like, no, that doesn't change. Spaghetti's still not meat at all. And look at this. I'm telling you, bro. Look at this. You see? Apparently, is that part of the Caribbean? Like that part of the Caribbean got it. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. That is going
I
absolutely
can't
crazy.
say what I want to say on air. I
Oh
can't say it.
man.
I'll tell you
Wow.
after.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
I can't
We
tell you
can
on
share it because typically when I have rice, it's with beans, steak,
Wow.
picadillo. But spaghetti with rice, I'm like, that's double starch. First of all, you're just like, I'm like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, we got into not an argument. I don't say that. That's us. We got into a little back and forth over. I had
A
to
little
sneeze.
fiasco.
I had a sneeze and I
Okay.
felt it coming and it felt like a heavy sneeze. So I
Okay.
grabbed a paper towel, but I must have grabbed two because I did it fast. And she went in on me on the paper towel. You grab two. All you do, you and your family grab too much toilet paper and this and that. And I'm like, man, dude, you can't because you couldn't afford toilet paper. That's why you only use one ply. I mean, ain't my problem. It was this whole thing, dude. So I'll share the rest over after the show. I'd scared.
Oh, Bobby, this is for
I'm not
you.
scared.
I'll put it for you too.
I'm a little scared. A question for you two. We probably won't see many starters play versus the Jags. What players are on the bubble who you're watching to earn their cut? Mm. Uh, Robbie Chosen. That's one. Where
I
has
think
he
he's not gonna
been?
make it. I don't think he's gonna make it, man.
Easy E Izukama has done a very good job, I believe. At least being considered for an actual spot. Cedric Wilson, he did have I think a drop last game, but he's been at least catching stuff. He's been involved. I have not seen Chosen. I haven't. So I think he's somebody who's on the bubble, big time. So let's see if he can do anything in this game. Um, any of the tight ends not named Julian Hill and Durham Smythe. That's another one. I think Julian Hill I don't want to say enough because you never know what they could do, but I think Julian Hill has done enough that he might be right on the edge of the bubble where he's probably going to earn himself a spot. But who does that third spot go? Now I know Evan says that he believes they're going to keep two tight ends. I think it's three, but any other tight end not named those two guys, I'm watching for. Uh, and then I want to see Chris Brooks, man. 2 weeks, Chris Brooks has showed enough until we know what's going on with the Jonathan Taylor situation, if that
Hmm.
actually goes down. But I want to see I want to see what Chris Brooks does in Game 3 because he is making noise for a spot. He is making a lot of noise to earn a roster spot, and Miami's done very well this year so far. It looks like at least with undrafted free agents. So those are my three guys. There's other guys, obviously, but those three guys right there. Offensive line is obvious one, but those three guys are guys that I'm looking at. Alex, anybody in particular for you?
No, you pretty much touch upon all the ones. I'm looking also at Igbanabani. How do you say is Iggy Igbanabani? I always say his last name wrong.
Yeah,
Iggy.
yeah, Igbenogany. Just say Igbo.
Igbo.
Yeah.
He's on the fence there, and obviously O line. I
True.
want to see what they do with the guard position, and like you mentioned, Brooks. Brooks is the wild card offensively that I believe they're going to find a way to make sure he's part of the roster. I believe they're going to find a way to keep him.
Yeah, there you go. Well, guys, we are almost at the 2-hour mark, but we had a lot of fun. Again, I want to thank everybody for watching East 10th Street Boys straight out of Hialeah on the Finns Talk Sports Network and listening to us on the Finns Talk Podcast Network. That's Alex Atiachiska. You catch him on Fast Break on Tuesday nights. He won't be on tomorrow, but he will be on next week. You can catch me on Finns Talk Today on Saturday talking Dolphins, post-game show and pre-game show on Sundays at 10 in the morning and the evenings at 8 o'clock.
That's before we go.
And here on
Anthony, let's see.
Before you go, read my last comment.
Which one? This one?
Go out. Yeah.
Are you a big fan?
Thank you, TJ.
Mahuia. What is that?
Maybe the spaghetti with rice and whatever you're talking about.
I don't know.
I don't know. Campbell is in. Noah is out. That's what Chris thinks. Let me just say, first off, before I close it out, though, Chris, Anthony, the wife, Vito, TJ, Evan, Rob, everybody, everyone tuning in, whether you're watching on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, or listening on the podcast network.
X.
Thank you all for tuning in. Sorry. We appreciate you. Do me a favor, if you haven't yet, hit that like and subscribe button. Follow us up on Twitter at Bobby Finstock or at AJ_Tia. We thank you, we appreciate you, and we will see you next Monday night at 9 o'clock Eastern. Fins up, everybody.